November 13th meeting of the Traffic Safety and Parking Commission to order. And we will start with our Pledge of Allegiance. I want to ask our Senior Traffic Engineer, Mr. Wong, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Remember it. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wong. Mr. Ting, could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner French,
Present.
Commissioner Israelet,
Present.
Commissioner Johnson,
Present.
Chair Martos.
Here. All right. Item 4 is the approval of minutes from September 11th. Did anybody have any corrections to the minutes? No. Okay. And I didn't either. So are there any objections to approving the minutes? No objections. Okay. Mr. Ting, let it be recorded by unanimous consent with one abstention. Commissioner Brown's not here, but by unanimous consent, the minutes were approved for September 11th. And we'll move on to public comment. So these are for non-agenda items. So anything that's not on the agenda, members of the public may speak on any item. Members of the public wishing to suggest an item for a future commission agenda may do so during this public comment period. The Ralph M. Brown Act, which is the state local agency open meeting law, prohibits this commission from acting on any matter that's not on the agenda. Does anybody want to speak on an item that's not on our agenda this evening? Okay. You could hand the card, Mr. Ting, there.
Good evening. I'm Jen Faber. I live over on Hillside Circle-ish, but my address is on Easton Drive. And I just wanted to lodge a public comment about the development at 1385 Hillside Circle. Our neighborhood is really excited that this project is underway, but we do want to bring to the Traffic Commission just the fact that this is going to present some traffic concerns as the project is underway. We've met as a neighborhood group and just really would like to make sure that the Traffic Commission is aware of this project that's going on. And we are looking forward to working together on how we can sort of mitigate any type of safety and traffic concerns as the project moves forward. That's all I have for tonight on that.
Okay, very much. Very good. Thank you, Ms. Faber. Yep. Great. Did you fill out a card? If not, go.
A card.
Okay, go ahead and state your name.
Hi, I'm Sandy Camarado.
Hi, Sandy.
How are you? Dear Chair and Commissioners, thanks for your time. I wanted to bring to your attention an intersection at the corner of Berry Alley and Cypress. Half the street belongs to San Mateo, the other half belongs to Burlingame. I live on the corner of Cypress, and every single morning I sit in my dining room and I have coffee. There are a number of cars that run that stop sign constantly. I have recently called the police, I think twice. One time they came out, they weren't so busy, they came out, sat there. Within 30 minutes, they gave out, I think, 3 tickets. I think that since it is San Mateo and Burlingame, I don't know what the red tape is there, and I don't know how complicated it would be, but I think that intersection needs brighter white lanes. And if you guys could just take a look at that, I would really appreciate it. It's a main thoroughfare in the morning to get from San Mateo Park and Burlingame Park down to St. Catharines. And there's a ton of kids and families that walk on that at that intersection and cross that street. So I'd like you to, if you can, at some point, look at that. So thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you, Ms. Camarado.
Sure.
Yes, Mr. Wong?
If the resident would like to stay, but under engineers reports, we will be commenting on our Berry Alley traffic impact or traffic calming program. That's theirs.
That's item 8, item 7B, 7C. So it's going to be a while from now. Okay, any other public comment? All right. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. And we have 3 items on the agenda. We have El Camino Real renewal. We have Adeline Drive, Vancouver Avenue, San Mateo County Transportation Authority. So how many people are here for Adeline? Raise your hand. Okay. And how many people are here for El Camino? Okay. So commission, would you?
Through the chair.
Yes, Mr. Wong?
Actually, if the folks wouldn't mind, we kind of got this.
You know where I was going with this,
I know
right?
you're
Okay.
going.
All right.
We did this intentionally, leaving El Camino on there, just because it's such a huge project that's going to impact pretty much everyone in the city. We thought this just be another way for other folks to get up to speed. So we have sorry, folks, a captive audience that would be able to, I mean, they're welcome to engage as well, ask questions just like the commission, but we thought it'd be fine for them to get what's happening with the latest.
Understood. And if the public wants to stick around for El Camino, they're welcome to. But I think, in my opinion, it's best if we moved item 6B up to the first discussion item tonight. Commissioners, anybody object, or
Objection. No objection.
You'll have to,
Commissioner French?
No objection.
No?
I'll have to delay.
Are you going to be ready?
I am not presenting this.
Okay.
Sai is, and he's,
Mr. Sai is not here. That's
he
a
is
small
here.
glitch.
Yes,
Is he in the building?
he is in the building.
Maybe we should.
Well, Mr. Wong, how long do you think the El Camino Real
Oh,
And is he prepared?
presentation? I mean, there, we have,
I'm not sure. I will,
okay. So
uh,
we're not debating to get it to a motion on El Camino Real. It's just informational. And who's presenting? Are the consultants here?
no, the Caltrans. They're actually online.
They're online.
They're regional, so
Okay.
we can't allow them to talk.
So if Mr. Sai can't be here in 2 minutes, then we'll just move on with El Camino Real.
All right.
Sorry. Trying to accommodate people.
Okay. Okay. He's on his way down.
Yeah, yeah.
He'll be down, so we can go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Wong, so Commissioner Israelit reminded me that, do we have like a disclaimer for, we're a hybrid meeting, we have Zoom, but people that are raising their hands really can't speak, or they're in listen only mode?
Yes.
Yeah, I see hands being raised.
Yeah, unfortunately, well, and this person, Caltrans individual.
Oh,
But no,
All right.
for the rest of the folks, because we went to the hybrid meeting.
Yep.
And now we're not able to, because of, like we had mentioned in previous meetings, bad behavior by some of the attendees online, that we've cut that off. So the only way you could provide comment is, and we've got a bunch of it, is provide written comment before 4:00 yesterday, the day before the meeting, or be in person today to provide it. That's the only way we can receive comment.
Okay,
ask a question through the chair.
you may, yeah.
I mean, perhaps they're raising their hand because they're saying that they're not ready to go first. I don't know. We don't know.
Mr. Sai was going to do Adeline Drive.
Oh, Adeline. Oh,
Yeah.
Go
Yeah, so the person was raising their hand. There he is. All right. You've had your Monster or whatever energy drink you chugging right there.
flexible, Mr.
Appreciate it. All right, so we're going to move item 6B up to the first discussion item tonight, which is Adeline Drive and Vancouver Avenue intersection. Thank you, Mr. Sai. We appreciate your flexibility.
Okay,
Sorry, Caltrans had requested to go first. So I believe that's probably why he's raising
Oh.
his hand.
Oh,
So,
No, I'm going to accommodate the public that are here in the room, and we're going to do 6B first.
so we do public comment before or after presentation? After? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so Mr. Sai, you can do your presentation, commissioners will ask questions, then we'll go to public comment on the presentation, and then the commissioners will debate and make a motion.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah.
Well, good evening. This first item is Adeline Drive and Vancouver Avenue. We were requested to do a review of the intersection, and we're going to walk you through our findings. Next slide. So, two meeting goals. We want to present you the review of the intersection. And we're hoping that following the presentation, the commission can review, discuss, hear the public feedback, and then provide a motion in support for the proposed traffic calming enhancements. So bit of background. We received a request from a resident following a collision, vehicular collision in March of this year. And following that request, we eventually held an on-site neighborhood meeting with a few residents at the location that happened on October 8th. And the goal of that was really to hear those concerns in further detail and explore any potential exceptions that could be made if feasible. So here is an aerial view of the two streets, Adeline Drive, which is the main road, and Vancouver. Towards the top of the screen is the cul-de-sac side. Pretty straightforward intersection. However, the eastbound approach from the left side of the screen, it does have a slight curvature in the roadway, which is something to keep in mind. Next slide. So there were several residents in attendance of the meeting, and these are the notes that staff took about all of the concerns that they had. The first major theme was about speeding. Multiple residents recalled accidents that had happened here over time, and this suspected issue was speeding. They also said that it's always been a major concern there, and they requested for additional enforcement and new speed limit signage. The second theme was of visibility and sightlines. There being a horizontal and vertical curve in the roadway created a limited visibility and blind spots depending on where you were coming from. They also said that parked cars further obstructed views, and a few of the residents were supportive of red curb markings to improve sightlines. The third theme that we heard was about pedestrian safety. Some residents said that some children cross here to reach school. One resident requested a new crosswalk with a flashing beacon. However, another resident expressed concerns that the flashing beacon could shine into nearby homes and might not make the most sense. The fourth major theme was that about traffic from the Mercy High area. With the improvements on site there, there was a concern for increased traffic surrounding a new gym. So those are all the things that we noted from the residents at the meeting on October 8th. And next slide. So also the most common request was for a multi-way stop analysis to see if that could be installed here. And staff follows the California MUTCD guidelines. And the first major criteria on those guidelines is about collisions. So the manual is looking for 5 or more reported crashes in a 12-month period that are susceptible to correction by a multi-way stop. So 5 or more reported crashes in a 12-month period. So what we did, we want to take a wider look at what's happened there over the past 10 years, which we found 3 potentially correctable incidents. So just to go over them in brief, in 2022, one vehicle ran the stop sign on Vancouver and had a right angle collision with a vehicle on Adeline. This was a reported collision. In 2024, there was no collision report taken. However, there were no injuries and a vehicle ended up on the lawn of 2020 Adeline Drive. So there was no collision report here, but only an incident report. And those are pretty much the only details that we have. In 2025, there was another incident where we did not have an official police collision report. However, based on what we're told by residents, a vehicle in Vancouver failed to yield at the stop sign again, and there was a collision with oncoming traffic on Adeline Drive. One sec. So there we have incidents in 2022, 2024, and 2025. But the criteria we're looking for based on the guidelines is 5 or more within a 12-month period. So we didn't quite meet that in this perspective. Next slide. The next major criteria in the California MUTC guidelines is that of minimum volumes. So what they're looking for is for the major street, which in this case is Adeline Drive. They are looking for 300 vehicles per hour entering the intersection on that major street for any 8 hours of an average day. And the second one is at the same time looking at the minor street. They're looking at not just vehicles, but vehicles, pedestrians, and bikes entering the intersection 200 per hour for the highest 8 hours. So those are the thresholds that we're looking for. And one thing to keep in mind that isn't applicable here, that the third item there is that if the 85th percentile approach speed exceeds 40 miles per hour, you can reduce the numbers above by 30% to a total of 70%. Next slide. So this slide and the next slide are the actual data counts that we took on the 2 sides of Adeline Drive, which is the main street that we're interested in. So pretty standard data table. On the left-hand side, you have the hourly increments from 0 to 24. And one column over, you have the number of cars counted for each of those time increments. And all of the columns to the right of that are the speeds at which those cars were counted at. Now, going back to the second column, those are the volumes. And to sum up what we found here, on average, per hour on the major street here, Adeline Drive, there are about 140 cars, which is a bit short of the 300 cars that the guidelines would be looking for. I also want to bring your attention to the bottom right-hand corner. So that is the total of the over 1,000 cars in the westbound direction. I can't see that from here, but it's, I believe it's 21.9 miles per hour for the westbound traffic. And then on the next slide, for eastbound traffic, what is that? 22.7 miles per hour. Next slide. So right off the bat, we didn't meet the main 2 criteria that the guidelines are looking for, but the city of Burlingame has made exceptions in the past, especially for local lower volume residential streets, right? we don't necessarily want to wait for 5 collisions in a year before we do something. And likewise, many streets may never reach 300 every hour for 8 hours. So in the past, we have identified these 5 criteria that have allowed us to then reduce the thresholds. So what are those 5 criteria? Both of the intersecting streets are mainly residential with 25-mile-per-hour speed limits. So that definitely applies here. The second one is that both streets are 2-lane streets with 1 lane in each direction, and that is applicable here. The main street, in this case Adeline Drive, does not have any other existing controls within 500 feet. So we're going to take a look at that in the next slide. The 4th criteria is that the intersecting street, which is Vancouver Avenue, it has to extend more than 500 feet. In this case, the cul-de-sac side of Vancouver is over 500 feet long, about 650 feet or so. And lastly, the intersection should improve overall traffic operations. So that is traffic operations of all the different movements at the intersection, but also all the different movements up and down Adeline Drive itself in totality. Next slide. So we have here the expanded aerial view of the location. Adeline and Vancouver is circled in yellow. That's the intersection there. And the stop sign icons are representing existing all-way stops. In this case, this neighborhood is pretty congruent. It's got each block is about 300 feet long. So from this view, we can see that before Adeline, Vancouver, there is an all-way stop within 300 feet, within 500 feet. Before and after this, both sides of this intersection. And then if you recall, one of the main exception criteria that we're looking for is that there are no other traffic controls within 500 feet. So in this case, it's a bit close to be adding another multi-way stop under that criteria. Next slide. If you recall, one of the themes, top themes that we heard from the residents was of visibility. And as we're all aware with the new state law, AB 413, every approach to a marked or unmarked crosswalk is already susceptible to a 20-foot red curb. What we have shown here is actually the departure from an unmarked crosswalk. And this is actually a space that probably presents the biggest issue with lines of sight for vehicles coming around the curve. So this is something that we would like to address. Next slide. So in summary, the multi-way stop didn't meet the main MUTCD guidelines, and it didn't meet the criteria that allows us to reduce those thresholds further. So at this time, we're not recommending a multi-way stop, but we do have 3 recommendations. That's 20 feet red curb on all approaches. So that's consistent with AB 413, and also 20 feet of red curb for the one space facing the vehicles coming from the curve. We're also recommending a center line to just further position vehicles on the appropriate side of the road. And we intend to continue to monitor the location for ongoing concerns and any improvements that might be feasible in the future. So this is just an aerial view of what I just went over. We have red curb on all 4 approaches with an additional red curb for the approach from the curve. And the yellow center line indicated. That's it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sy. For the public, so the commissioners are going to ask clarifying questions on the project to Mr. Sy, and then I'll open it up for public comment. So I want to, and then the commissioners, and I'll close public comment, and then the commissioners will discuss the alternative here and the project and give a recommendation, make a motion to make a recommendation. So I'll start with commissioner comments. Who would like to start?
I'll start.
What comments or just?
I'm
by-
sorry. Questions. Yeah. Questions. Yeah. That's why you
I
look.
usually have a lot of.
Yeah.
comments.
Used. Yeah. I meant questions. Okay.
I just have one.
Sure.
question. Mr. Sy, part of the accident count, which come close to meeting with the guidelines, the MUTCD guidelines, is my understanding is that the accidents have to be probably preventable had there been a four-way stop. And so I think that, am I correct? The one accident, there were only 3 in 10 years. And the one accident, someone actually had run a stop sign and therefore there was an accident. Is that correct?
So to elaborate, in the 10-year collision history, there were more than just 3. These are the 3 that would have been potentially correctable.
Got it.
Mm.
So if it.
So there were, sorry,
Right.
there were other incidents where a vehicle may have collided with a tree or parked vehicles or some kind of passing maneuver to a double parked vehicle, that kind of things that are not correctable potentially by an always stop.
So the vehicle that ran the stop sign on Vancouver and had an accident, how would that have been preventable if they already ran the stop sign?
By definition, many of these right angle collisions or broadside collisions would be considered correctable.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Johnson?
sure.
Yep.
When you look at visibility, what do you take into account?
Visibility, you take into account the speeds of the vehicles on both approaches. If one approach is coming to a stop, the amount of space in front of the vehicle to gain a better line of sight, and then mainly any objects higher than a certain height that would be obstructing. So that we went over the vehicle space, but technically it also applies to any high growing shrubs and bushes.
And did we take into account the high growing shrubs and bushes in that area?
Yes.
Okay,
So that was definitely looked at during the site review.
okay. And how many public meetings we have prior to tonight?
Just the one in the neighborhood that evening.
Okay,
And that wasn't, that meeting wasn't notified to the entire neighborhood, I wouldn't say. And likewise for this meeting, we didn't do any additional outreach to any potential impact area.
okay, so there's possibly some neighbors on Adeline and on Vancouver that may not have been aware that the meeting happened.
Yes.
Okay, very good. I think those are just my questions. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner French?
Yes, I had a question on the recommendation for red curb on all approaches and then facing the eastbound approach only. Why would you leave out the westbound in that situation when it's, if that's what you're going to do is painting with the curbs?
The westbound approach, so it would be Adeline Drive on the right side of the screen here. So I guess actually on the bottom there, there's a fire hydrant there. It already has some red curb. So it's effectively already there.
Okay, got that. And then the other 2, that just leaves 2 areas to the eye that wouldn't have a red curb. So do they also have the same feature?
Are they recommended for the same red curb?
Trying to understand why you wouldn't just paint the wall if that was the approach.
Oh, sure. It's all about the sight lines of any potential vehicles that would come in conflict with you. So typically, if you imagine taking a trying to make a left-hand turn, the first lane or approach that you're worried about is the one to your left, because that will intersect your movement path first. And then next would be to your right, because after you've crossed the first lane, the second conflict with your movement would be coming from the right. So you're just accounting for these different movements.
Thank you.
May I,
So I wanted to ask about that. Did you want to ask about the red curbing?
to clarify the red curbing?
Okay, I have a question about the red curbing as well, but I'll let you go first.
Well, my understanding is that AB 413, you only red curb the approach. You don't red curb the other side that's not approaching the intersection. So,
Was that the question? Did I not?
Yeah, I was curious about AB 413,
Oh, why?
why you wouldn't
you know,
red curb them all. Yeah.
Well, the purpose, the intent of the approach to an area where someone might be crossing.
Yeah.
The intent is to improve that sight line of anyone crossing. Once you're past where someone might be crossing, you no longer, the visibility of them is no longer in question, right? So that's why AB 413.
So if I understand it, the cars approaching the intersection would be at the stop sign entering the intersection, so that it has to be clear at that point. Is that right? But for Adeline, so if I'm looking at Vancouver, south, south, bottom, right there.
Go, right there.
That's south, yep. So the east red curb needs to be red so it's visible because the car is stopped there. The west lane doesn't need to be red curb because the vehicle's already moved through the intersection. Is that right? Is that why it's not red? I think. Anyway, but this is I'll just simplify it. This is in compliance with AB 413. Is that right? Okay, so that's all. And you added another curb in there also for increased visibility. Okay, got it. Okay. I also had a question, Mr. Sai, about speed limit signs. Where are the speed limit signs on this stretch of road?
So speed limit signs are typically at the beginning of a roadway,
Uh-huh,
leave a higher speed roadway.
uh-huh.
So if you go from El Camino and you turn on to Adeline, that very first block should have your Adeline speed limit. And you don't always have those signs because with residential streets, there are the prima facie 25.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that we're looking at citywide in Vision Zero to see where we can reduce speed limits, in some cases lower than 25. But those have to be justified by a process.
So there's no speed limit sign in this segment of the road?
You know, I couldn't say.
Okay.
Yeah, but we can look into that.
Okay. Just as a reminder, 25 or less. Yeah. Okay. And I wanted to go back to, I don't want to try and digest all this data, but I wanted to go back to your data table because I'm trying to understand how fast were the cars going. And it looks like volume wise, so that total is volume. Is that right? Column 2 is volume. Yep. Is that correct? Volume of cars by hour?
Yeah, we're talking about the bold figures.
No, I'm talking about the light figures there
Yeah, those are the total vehicles counted between
by hour.
for that 1 hour.
Yeah. Okay.
So your average.
Okay. So then, so at 8 a.m., 7 and 8 a.m. had the highest volume is what I'm seeing here, 84 and 77. And then in the afternoon, it looked like, 3, 4, 5, the highest volume there, correct? Okay.
So what we do, we add this is eastbound, and the next slide was westbound
Right,
together.
right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm I'm looking at westbound. Okay, but just so I understand this data, and then going across the row, so then we have the VPP as the average speed. Is that what I'm
Yeah, so you have how
understanding from there?
we're between 5 to 10 miles per hour,
Okay,
15 to 20, so on and so forth.
okay. So the 85th percentile, VPP 85th percentile. Okay. Got it. Okay. Right here. 80th percentile. Okay. I think that's all the questions I had. So,
Through the chair, just want.
yeah, Mr. Wong, go ahead.
Speed limit sign between Bernal and Vancouver on Adeline, just to let you know that.
Okay, can you pull up the map again between Bernal and Vancouver?
Vancouver, yeah. Do you mind if I ask one more?
Bernal, yeah, one second. Where's Bernal?
It's the one right next to Vancouver.
Oh, right there. Okay. Okay, so there's a speed limit sign right there. Westbound or eastbound?
I'll have to double check that one.
I mean, I think that the problem is coming down the hill and hitting that turn, that curve is, it'd be great if there was a stop sign somewhere on that east, sorry.
Where the road between Vancouver.
Yeah,
Going eastbound between Vancouver and Bernal. So you're going uphill.
right. But it seems to me the problem is going down the hill. And when you hit that turn, cars should be slowing down, coming down that hill and that turn, because that's a blind corner pretty much. So there's no stop signs above Vancouver east. So would that be west of Vancouver on Adeline?
Stop signs or?
Speed limit signs.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, that's what I was wondering.
There's a curve sign though,
There is a curve sign.
curve sign.
Okay. Okay. All right. Good. Commissioner Johnson, you want to ask a question?
That handled it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I think we're good with questions. Any other questions, commissioners? All right. So what I want to do next for the public, we received a lot of emails and we had the opportunity to read these before the meeting. So if you sent an email, then we've read it. And if you want to speak, you're welcome to speak, but I would ask that you not repeat the email because we've read it and you'll have roughly 3 minutes to add any additional comments that you'd like to make beyond what you've written in the email. Okay, and so at this point, I'll open up public comment and you are welcome to step up to the podium and the microphone if you wanted to add something else that wasn't written in the email. And just for clarification, the emails that we received today from last name Wong, last name Williams, tiny writing, last name Hirth, last name Sweet, last name French, not this French, another French,
Commenting on that.
last name Stubson, last name Lessard, and that's it. And then there were emails from back in September and October that were also shared with us as well that we read through. So we don't read those emails anymore, but we don't read them in the meeting, but we have read them all, the commissioners. So I just want to assure the public that we have. If anyone would like to share other comments beyond their emails, please step up to the podium at this time. And we have former Mayor Ann Keegren, City Council member for many years, member of the Planning Commission for many years. So we're honored to have you in our presence.
Thank you. Been
Yep.
A long time, 25 years between.
Are you
planning
comfortable on the
and
podium
Council, so
after 25?
it's different being on this side. I'm Ann Keegren and I live on the 1500 block of Vancouver. Been there since 1992. And this has been an issue for many, many years. And actually, with the current neighbors, this was actually initially brought up November of last year with my neighbor Samantha French. So I just wanted to clarify that it wasn't this year, it was last year. So I personally think that the main concern here is, coming out of that dead end to Adeline and making that left. Visibility is definitely an issue. Your car is almost halfway into Adeline before you can actually really see because of a hedge, and many times there are cars parked there. So I do think the red zones will somewhat alleviate that. I do find that the cars are speeding. I think there is also a little bit confusion of signs. So when you are going westbound on Adeline, you have your 25-mile-per-hour sign, but right next to it is a 15-mile with a little arrow. So I can see why people would be confused of what is the speed limit. Although I think it's actually what the chair brought up, I'm actually more concerned about the traffic coming east because they don't slow down coming down from the hills. We do have to remember there is Lincoln School, BIS, Franklin, and Mercy. So all that traffic are going to those schools in that zone. The one thing that has not been mentioned here this evening is there are a lot of children that walk to school, and they are crossing at that Vancouver intersection. And yes, it is easy to say, go down to Bernal and cross there, but that's not what happens in reality. And that is what I am actually most concerned about. Yes, I'm concerned about the autos, of course, but these kids, they're all ages, and they are running back and forth on Vancouver and Adeline. And so I do think there needs to be some type of crosswalk, whether it's the yellow lines or what I've actually recently seen on Occidental, which I think Public Works did a phenomenal job with those nice bright white lines. And then maybe have your diamond sign with a kid on the sign. Because of the schools are in such close proximity, and there's so many kids these days, which I think is great, and more of them are walking to school and bicycling to school, we need to take that extra safety precaution. I can understand why, stop signs are not utilized here, although I can say I could put a wager on all the other stop signs that are on these streets do not have 5 collisions in a year to meet that criteria. But almost every other street has either a stop sign, crosswalk, raised bumps, something, and Vancouver does not. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Yep.
Good evening. I live at 1486 Vancouver, so I'm
Your name?
I'm sorry, Belinda Ma. So I live on the corner of Vancouver and Adeline, and I have 2 questions if I may ask. So the first question is regarding the painted red curbs. I know it's a law now throughout the state. Will Burlingame, will the city eventually paint all red curbs throughout the city? I ask because I park in front of my house, and with this red curb painted, I no longer can park, and it just doesn't feel fair. So I know that resources are limited, and we can't be painting every single red curb all at once, but will this eventually be throughout the city?
Mr. Wong?
Through the chair. So our goal with trying to be compliant with AB 413 is to first schools, parks, commercial areas where there's a lot of pedestrians, where it's the key to AB 413. Eventually, we will move out to other areas, but we're focusing on those areas first. So it's just a matter of time.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And then the second question is regarding the center line, which was one of the recommendations by the Traffic and Planning Commission. What does the center line look like? and where will it be placed?
Mr. Sy or Mr. Wong?
Oh, I'll go ahead and take it. I mean, the center line will be at the center of the road, whatever we measure from face of curb to face of curb, right there. Initially, we proposed just a standard center line with the box dots. No vertical element yet, but that's something we can look at as this goes on.
Okay,
Okay.
only asking because we have driveways that face Adeline, and we're just wondering, will we be able to get out of her driveways? That's all.
And that's something we looked at. So that's why we're holding off on that now, and we'll see how much we can put in if we have to elevate them.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. You want to ask her? Let's let public comment finish. Hi.
Hello, my name is Dimitri. I live on the 1500 block of Vancouver as well. I just moved in the neighborhood, so I'm very new here. I've already had to pull my kids back 3 times from getting hit by cars. I have a 9-year-old and a 13-year-old. 13-year-old never listens to me anyway, but the 9-year-old, I've literally had to pull her back and make sure she doesn't get hit by cars. I'm a police officer, and I've seen what happens in our town. People getting hit by cars, e-bikes, which are a big issue now. It's all over the place. So a couple of concerns that I have, and I had to write them down because I tend to forget everything. When was the last speed survey done in this town on Adeline? I believe traffic sergeants should know that more than you guys probably would. When you come up to Vancouver, there was a picture I was posted, and it had a little blue, I guess we would have been a vehicle. I drive a pretty large truck. When I pull out, I got to pull half my truck into the intersection in order for me to see anything up the road. By that point, I've already bought it. I mean, I'm going to get hit. So that isn't quite fair, because when you stop behind a limit line, which is on Vancouver, quite a ways in. Something to consider. The question I always come up with is, everyone always asks, well, why are we doing this? The better question should be, why are we not doing this? Is it going to take a kid getting hit and killed before we decide to say, oh, we probably should have put a stop sign there? I think everybody in this neighborhood is gung-ho about this. They want it there. There's nobody that's in here saying, no, that's a bad idea. But we're still going to argue this and fight this and say, no, we're not going to put this up for a multitude of reasons. And I understand the reasons. There's protocol we have to follow. I get it. I'm not arguing that part. I'm just arguing the fact that at some point, some child's going to get hit, and it's going to look really bad. On our block alone, and one of the biggest reasons we bought on our block was the amount of children on our block. Any given day, there's 7, 8 kids out there playing, and they're out there throwing the ball around. Our neighbors are throwing a lacrosse ball. My daughter's playing volleyball, having a grand old time. So there's kids all the time on this thing, riding bikes up and down the street. Now, I remember when I was a kid, I rode my bike, I'd cross the street. I'd cross the street like Adeline. I wouldn't even think twice. I'm scared that something's going to happen there. The other day, and I'll end after this one, well, 2 things. Mercy Burlingame's right up the street. I know the Sarah kids come over all the time. They're flying up and down that road. They're hitting speeds that I didn't think you can hit on a street that size. I actually had a kid yell at me and tell me to F off the other day and flip me off when I was telling him to slow down. And the last thing is, I know for a fact that oftentimes accidents do go unreported. Let me just finish this and I'll be done. They do go unreported all the time. I see it at work all the time. I roll up on accidents. I'm like, oh, do you guys want to report this? No, not at all. Great, no problem. So how many accidents actually went completely unreported? Now, we have 3 that were listed there. But that's only 3 that would have been possibly eliminated with a stop sign. The reality is, I think it would be a lot more than just 3. I mean, if you have to have people stop, where they have to stop and actually look at each other, and then one person goes, you're gonna have a lot less accidents. And you don't have to worry about it's not the reported vehicle and vehicle collisions. I'd be more concerned about the vehicle with pedestrians. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any other public comments?
Hi, evening.
Hi.
I actually did submit an email,
You did
But-
send an email?
Yes,
Okay.
but
What was your name?
sit here. So, I live right on the corner of Vancouver and Adeline.
Or I didn't get your name.
Ursula Williams.
Oh, you're Ursula one.
Yeah,
Hi.
yeah.
Yeah, I read your email.
Hi, yeah. So I'm on the corner. I'm also a law enforcement family. And I'm actually opposed to that stop sign for a variety of reasons that frankly, I think are important. I read what the city's policy is on traffic and what stop signs are conditioned to do. I think the kids are still going to be in the road. You know, I raised my kids and all the other neighborhood kids there, and I agree, it's not a great road, but it's something that we always knew. We had to supervise and watch the kids. There are not kids in the road all day. I do work from home, so I work right in looking out into that intersection. It's very busy in the morning and in the afternoon, the same hours that we had looked at. But if you actually go and look, there's no markings on the road. Like there's no cars that are slamming their brakes and preventing collisions. There's no horns honking. There's no screeching. I'm on Zoom all day long. I wouldn't be sitting in that room if there was. So, you know, I think in one of the meetings, it was, let's put stop signs and blinking lights and all these. I don't really want that right outside my living room. I have a very little lot. I have a driveway that's 20 feet from the curb. So it would be painted all in front, which I'm in support of, but I would never park there. I don't think anyone ever parks there. It's a very narrow space. I think it's great to paint the red curb on the other side. I think putting the markings in the streets are great. The trees, I think it's wrong to cut our trees. I think if there's bushes that are in the way, that's great. But I'm very, very concerned. And I'm being painted as, you know, the neighborhood lady that doesn't want safety. I absolutely want safety. I would like to ask, who do we talk to get maybe a patrol, a motorcycle up there, a car every now and then? I know you guys are really limited in the support you have, but I think that would help on occasion as well. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Williams. Any other public comment? Okay. I did want to have one moment for Commissioner Israel had a question. Did you want to ask that question?
Belinda, I'm sorry, I don't remember your last name.
Ma.
You had said that you would not be able to park in front of your house if it were red curbed.
Correct.
And I was just going to ask where which house was.
Oh, if you could pull the map, I could point to it. I am on the corner of Vancouver and Adeline. My house actually faces westbound. So right there, where the arrow is. Yeah.
Oh, the Craftsman House?
Yeah, the green one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. No further public comment? Then, all right, we'll close public comment and we'll go to commissioner comments. Who would like to start? Okay, Commissioner Johnson.
Very familiar with this area. I live over in Easton Addition and spent 15 plus years walking my kids to all the schools you mentioned. So I walk my dog there now, especially on Vancouver and up and down Adeline and over to Ray Park and other places. So I get it. I think one of the things, I went over there tonight before the meeting and walked my dog just to check it out again and really look at it closely. I think when we think of, I think to me, the most important thing is safety, especially of the kids who are going up and down that street. One of the things, and the reason why I asked about visibility, that we didn't really talk much about, and it kind of came up in the council meeting this past week, and it relates to plantings that we put really on what is city property. And you know, we have this beautiful, you know, those little, between your yard and the sidewalk, then we have that space before you get to the street, and we all decorate that, right? I think everyone puts down stones or they put down other plants. What I noticed tonight in a couple of places, we have some pretty high growth shrubs that I think are on city property. And I guess my question, maybe not so much for Teaspoon, but something that probably needs to go on public record is what is the city's policy about what grows in that space and how high can that be if it impacts visibility? I also know that what came up in council was it was an issue with a neighbor who had put a fence past the property line. And I won't go into the details of that public hearing. It's all public record. But I did notice in a house on Adeline that there were some impediments that whether they were on their property or on city property within that 5 feet, some very large, beautiful plants. But as I walked the dog, you couldn't see around them. And that was going westbound on Adeline before you hit Vancouver. And so I could see if somebody was coming out on Vancouver trying to turn left, there's definitely some visibility issues in that area. So it's something worth thinking about in addition to the red curbing. Again, I don't know if this is something that the city can mandate, but I think from a neighborhood perspective, really looking closely at, I'm not suggesting cutting down trees or anything like that, but really thinking about visibility and what we each can do with our own properties to improve sightlines on those corners. I think those are the majority of my comments.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner French, Commissioner Israelit. Good.
I also live on Columbus, the 1500 block of Columbus. Is it not working? Huh. Okay. Usually that's never a complaint from me that you can't hear me. Can everyone hear me now?
There you
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So I also live in the Easton Addition. I live in the 1500 block of Columbus. I also walk my dog and I know that area very well. That's why I knew which house was yours, Ms. Belinda. So I have a lot of thoughts about this. I understand the need for safety and concern for children going to school. There are stop signs every other intersection all the way up Adeline. So I do think that, when an intersection such as Vancouver and Adeline doesn't meet any of the warrants for the state guidelines for a 4-way stop, I think that's, saying something. There was really no speeding that was picked up on the study, Mr. Tsai. It looked like no one was going 5 miles over the speed limit, east or westbound. We don't meet the number of accident criteria. The number of vehicles or the traffic level we don't meet. And there were several emails from more neighbors than just the that said, the anti-safety. There were several neighbors who actually emailed and are not on board with some of these changes. I just need to be balanced and let you know that there are some people that aren't excited about some of these changes. So I think that, I do understand that that section of the road is curved. It's actually worse between Columbus and Vancouver as the road continues. That actually is a more of an acute curve. It's not shown on, unfortunately, it's cut off on our maps that we were looking at today. So I think we need to weigh in all the different factors and everybody's, we can't really cause too much congestion on the street because so many children use it for school and there will be backups and we could actually make an unsafe situation. I like the idea of red curbing because I think the visibility is key. And that is the case for almost every intersection. If you try to pull out on any of our Easton Addition streets, it's really scary. I mean, Hoover and Adeline stop sign, so that's safe. But I understand exactly what you're saying, and we've heard that from other people in the Easton Addition on their intersections as well. I'm fine with a center line. If I don't honestly really know how much that is necessary. But I think that would be fine. But I think adding a flashing beacon or a four-way stop, we really can't justify it at this intersection. So I'm not in favor of those more aggressive interventions at this time.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Israelit. Commissioner French?
Yes, I would like to add, just living on a street that has had 50% of the street with a lot of new visibility and some major work done, and it's tremendous, and thank you to everybody involved. I walk every day downtown. There's been tremendous accidents on my street, and the visibility, these markings on the road are really doing, it's making such a difference, at least for me, to feel safe. And so I think given all of the data and weighing up all of it versus the speed which has been collected, that I would be in favor too, just of the road markings instead of additional at this point.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner French. So I have several thoughts on this. The red curbing I'm in favor of. If there's anything on the city property that's bush-wise or tree-wise, it could be trimmed, not removed, but trimmed to increase visibility. It seems to me that visibility is a big issue. We don't have the data that shows speeding is an issue, but when I look at that intersection, Vancouver and Adeline, I have some thoughts on the raised bots in the center line. And I'm wondering if there's something that could be put in the intersection that would be more of a deterrent to speed, like we have in Lion Hogue. We have traffic circles, but I don't know the traffic circle is appropriate there. But something a little more that gets in the way so people can't just run over those center line buttons and not slow down. Something a little more prominent could possibly slow things down there. Mayor Keegren said something about two speed signs, and they're 115 and 125. So I think we need to straighten that out. I don't know where they're at. And if it's,
Through the chair?
yeah,
I believe there are probably two speed signs with those different speeds. One's a black on white sign that's
yeah,
posted speed limit. And then the other one is probably a black on yellow, which is advisory speed for the curve. So
okay,
an advisory speed.
okay. Seems like it should be the other way around. Just slow them down when they get to the curb at 15, right? Advise them to slow down at the curb. But that's a possibility too, right? 25.
The curb one is the 15.
That
Curve is 15?
15.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
the only 15-mile-an-hour speed limits that we have throughout the city are in front of the schools.
Okay, so the curve is 15.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So let's see. And then yeah, so those are my thoughts. I agree that I don't think a stop sign is warranted at that intersection, but if we can get better visibility for the people in Vancouver that have to get onto Adeline and do some of those mitigation factors to slow things down, I think that would be a good start. I'm not in favor of a crosswalk because I don't want to encourage people to cross at that intersection. There's stop signs 500 feet roughly away from that intersection, I think. Is that right? That a lot safer for people to cross than at Vancouver and Adeline. And I don't know how you convince people to walk to those other intersections to cross, but if there's anything in your book of tricks that could say cross that way or cross up there, that would, I think, help. I don't think, other than having a stop sign here, I don't think a crosswalk is going to be safe, even if we mark it. It's just with the visibility and the speed and the, that blind corner, it's just, I wouldn't feel safe saying it's okay to cross there. I would encourage people to cross at the four-way stops. So those are my thoughts on this. Any other thoughts before we all accept a motion of what we want to go forward with? Any other thoughts before we make a motion?
Just that I'm not sure that a physical, like buttons or physical, whatever you implant into the center line is really needed at that section. I think seeing a line and reminding yourself that you need to stay on the correct side of the road. But I mean, the only place we really have those big bots is like on Hillside and Bosun whatevers and.
Through the chair, I think
Yep.
when it was brought up earlier, what that center line would look like. Initially, obviously, we'll put down a center line, a yellow center line. As we go forward, we can look at, and again, there was the concern from Ms. Ma about if you put too many of those in, she won't be able to block or turn, maybe make a left turn into her
Right.
back out of her driveway. So we could look at that, but that would be the next phase. We'll see how these go in, take our data and see if we get the speeds to drop even more. And then maybe we're done, but if we still see the speeds are there, we can consider that and do it ourselves. That's something we got requests on. We've gotten requests all throughout the city and we've just installed those without coming to you, but.
And I'll just make one comment, and that is, because I drive that street pretty much every day. I mean, the reality is, when cars are parked on both sides of Adeline, it's really a one-way street. Just straight up. So, I mean, if I had my druthers, I'd red curb an entire side of the street, and you'd have a bigger, but that's not going to happen. So I think the red curbing is critical for visibility. And again, I'll just restate that I think the city, working with the neighbors, need to look very, very carefully at those corners and the impediments that aren't cars, but are, and I'm not suggesting cutting down trees. I'm talking about big bushes that you can't see around. And I have pictures that I took tonight and you can't see around them. So, and they're on city property, some of them. So I think that needs to be considered.
Through the chair, we
Yep. Okay. All right. So what we have before us, commissioners, is a proposal by city council, by city staff for red curbing as was diagrammed and raised center line. We don't have anything in the recommendation about trimming the bushes, the hedges. So do we want to have a motion?
Sure.
Okay.
I move that we go forward with the city staff's recommendations to put in the red curbing as described, as well as painting a center line, but holding back on any barrier in that center line at this time.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Does anybody want to add that we consider trimming?
Oh, yes. I thought that was already
I
suggested. So with the addition of looking at the visibility impediments in that area that relate to trees and bushes.
Okay. So
I-
motion.
I have that motion.
Yep.
My one concern is that I'm not sure we as Teaspoon are able to, there should be a code in the city
Right.
code about what can grow in that strip. And I'm not sure that we can include that in our recommendations.
Can we include it for it to be evaluated or looked at?
Yeah.
through the chair, still staff will look
Can
at
have
that.
staff like,
Yep.
I agree.
I mean, I agree. I'm not saying it's a mandate that we're saying to do something. Yes,
Legally, I'm not sure we can include that. Our purview tonight.
I defer to chair and past former chairs, since that has not been me.
All right. So I hear a motion. I hear a second. Good. All right. Okay. So, Mr. Ting, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner French,
Vote to approve.
Commissioner Israelit,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Chair Martos.
Aye. So the motion passes 4-0. Mr. Wong, Mr. Tsai, thank you. Members of the public, thank you. We appreciate your feedback. And Mr. Wong, Mr. Tsai, plans, timelines, when this might be worked on,
We'll
roughly?
take a look and get back to you. Hopefully
Months?
striping. No.
Yep.
We have a striping crews that can, and we can paint. So
Okay.
try to get that done quickly as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. So we're going to roll back to El Camino Real update. Renewal update. Do we still have our consultants on the line? I hope. Yep. I see Mr.
You.
Pardo.
And I'll ask if Mr. Ting can allow speak or whatever the rights to Mr. Romel Pardo, who's the project, the regional project manager on this. Presenting will be Mr. Gary Lai, who's an area construction manager, and Ms. Jeannie Crawford, who is with their public affairs division. So if you can make those folks live, and they will be running their own presentation.
Yeah, I believe, good evening. I believe Gary Lai will be presenting. So if you could also make him a presenter.
It's difficult for me to hear.
Yep.
Okay.
I hope we can do better than that.
Yeah, this is Gary. I think I logged in as a Caltrans presenter, Gary Lai.
All right, so we'll turn it over to Mr. Lai. I believe you're going to be presenting tonight for the team?
Yes, you just need to allow me to share. Right now, I'm not able to share.
Okay. And if you can, also Miss Janine Crawford, if you can unmute her. She is part of the team, and I think she had her hand raised.
Yeah, I guess while Gary presents, we all have each our speaking parts.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I just wanted to let you guys all know.
You still have to do Ms. Crawford, if you can.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, can we begin?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. All right, Gary, are you ready? First slide, start with the first slide, Gary.
Sure.
All right, well, yeah, start with the first slide. Thank you. Thank you for everyone for inviting Caltrans here tonight to give an informational update on the El Camino Real Rehabilitation Project. But before I start, I'd like to thank the city for their support. For without it, I don't think this project would have gotten to this point. So with that said, as you may know, the project is quickly heading into construction this winter, which is an exciting milestone. We also want to ensure residents and users of El Camino Real, we are aware of the inconvenience construction does bring. So we work very hard.
Excuse me, Mr. Pardo.
Yes.
Could you try? You keep fading in and out a little bit. Maybe move closer to the mic.
Okay.
If you can.
I'll speak a little louder and closer. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess we are aware of the inconveniences construction does bring. So we work very hard to reduce any traffic impacts and inconvenience to the motorists, residents, and overall general public as much as possible. Next slide, please. All right, so a little introduction. My name is Romel Pardo. I'm the Caltrans Regional Project Manager for the El Camino Real project, and I'll be speaking about the project's overview and current project status. Gary Lai will also be is also the construction manager for the project, managing the construction aspect of the job. And Janine Crawford is our public information officer, and she will be in charge of and be going over public outreach during construction. Next slide, please. During this presentation, we'll be giving an overview of the project, showing the plans for the upcoming construction project, general construction staging, traffic handling, and provide information about public outreach. The next few slides may look familiar, but I want to start by giving a brief recap of the goals of this project to everyone. Next slide, please. Hopefully you all recall this slide, which shows our 3-mile project limits, which is primarily in the town of Burlingame, in the city of Burlingame, but also reaches the cities of San Mateo, Millbrae, and Hillsborough. This project will fix the issues that users of El Camino Real experiences. Caltrans will be fixing the failed roadway pavement sections, repair and upgrade sidewalks so that they meet ADA standards, fix drainage systems to address localized ponding and flooding issues, upgrade sidewalks, improve both driver and pedestrian visibility by correcting sight distance deficiencies, and remove overgrown and hazardous eucalyptus trees. Next slide, please. The overarching goals defined by the El Camino Real Task Force will continue to shape the project throughout construction by retaining the character and the health of the grove while improving the safety of the roadway and sidewalks. Next slide, please. This slide is a reminder of the recent milestones that we've accomplished in the last year. We've completed 100% design and recently onboarded a construction contractor, Taika Construction, to perform the work. Although the timeline has gotten pushed back, our goal now is to start construction as early as December or as late as January, pending weather or other factors such as holiday season restrictions. Construction completion is highly contingent on key challenges such as PG&E undergrounding of overhead utilities, although Caltrans will continue to coordinate our construction activities with PG&E. I'll now pass it over to Gary to talk about construction in more detail. Gary?
Thanks, Ramel. In the next several slides, we're going to provide an overview of the construction staging, the timeline, and some initial information.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. I am really having difficulty hearing you. You're so muffled.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to switch speakers then. All right, is this better? Hello?
Not much.
All right, let me change this. All right, is that better now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, apologies for that. We just didn't get an opportunity to do a sound check. All right, so I'll start over again. So in the next several slides, we're going to provide an overview of the construction staging, the timeline, and some initial information on traffic detours. So El Camino Real, the El Camino Real roadway renewal is a unique project, and it actually poses unique challenges for us for the construction staging. The team had to create a plan that's presented here based on a few facts, or factors, I should say. On El Camino Real, we are in an urban setting, so we needed to create a construction staging plan with the least amount of disturbances, and that also allowed for access to homeowners and businesses. We also needed to accommodate the utility undergrounding work by PG&E, which was a really high priority for the community, and we recognize that. We also had to coordinate closely with the city of Burlingame, Millbrae, Hillsborough, and San Mateo, and other stakeholders to kind of create a plan to ensure that all agencies are coordinated throughout the project. We started this process 2.5 years ago, and it's moving forward. So this image shows the overview of the construction staging for the full length of the project. To the left of the red bar on top is San Mateo. To the right of the red bar on the bottom is the city of Millbrae. So as you can see, a bulk of the project is going to occur within the city of Burlingame. So we're going to start with stage one. Again, as Ramel said, we're targeting late December, January of 26 through the May of 2026 for our first stage to remove trees in the northbound direction. We're going to be performing drainage work in the southbound direction, and also potholing, basically locating underground utilities to pinpoint their exact positions. In stage two, we're going to concentrate on the northbound lanes between May of 26 through summer of 27, working on the pavement, replacing sidewalks, and starting to replant trees. Stage three concentrates on the southbound lanes, summer of 27 through the winter of 28. Again, working on the pavement, sidewalks, tree removals on the southbound direction, and also tree replanting. And then we go to stage 4 and 5, which will happen concurrently with the middle lanes and at the intersections between the winter of 28 through the spring of 29, concentrating on roadway improvements, also working at the intersections. And then our final stage 6, between the spring of 29 and the fall of 29, we're going to take care of putting down an overlay, final overlay from Millbrae to San Mateo and permanent striping. And again, timeline is subject to change and it's going to be contingent upon a lot of factors, including the undergrounding coordination work. So this map shows how construction is going to proceed in stage 1. We're going to be removing about 136 trees within Burlingame on the northbound side of the roadway. And because of the large sizes of the trees, we're going to have to close segments of northbound El Camino Real to complete this work. And it'll probably be in like 1 or 2 block segments. Detours and traffic advisories will be posted for these closures. And we're going to show people how they can get more information later on in the presentation. At the same time as we're going to be performing tree removals, we're also going to be fixing the storm drains on the southbound side. And that's going to necessitate us shifting traffic into the northbound lane. So again, 1 lane in each direction in the northbound lanes as these currently positioned and closures. And that'll happen again in about 2 block segments. And lastly, like I had mentioned before, we're going to be potholing just to pinpoint the exact locations of underground utilities. This is an illustration of the subsequent stages of the construction. And again, majority of this is going to be between May of 26 through the spring of 29. Stage 2, we will shift northbound traffic into the southbound lanes. Stage 3, which is similar to stage 1, working on shifting traffic from the southbound lanes into the northbound lanes. And then stage 4 will be shift traffic to the outsides and concentrate work in the middle. So as you can see, we'll be shifting traffic quite a bit. Again, it'll be in 2 block segments. And during this period, we'll be working from, in this project, about 2 blocks at a time. We do expect traffic delays due to the bottlenecks, but again, we're only going to be doing full closures of the roadway when we have to remove trees in stages 1 and 3. So although our goal is to keep 1 lane on each side of El Camino Real open for the majority of the project, we do expect full closures to remove the large trees. Again, Caltrans has prepared a traffic handling and detour plan, and we're going to be coordinating closely with the City of Burlingame staff and emergency services to ensure the safety of travelers. This slide has an example of a typical detour map that we're going to be posting publicly to help people navigate the detours. We'll also have on-street signage to direct travelers. Residents and businesses will have access to their properties at all times, even when we have full closures on their blocks. It just may take a little time for us to clear a pathway to their properties. And I'm going to pass this now on to Janine, who's going to talk about how we will share information to the public about the closures and traffic impacts.
All right. First of all, let me ask, can you hear me okay?
You're very muffled.
I'm muffled.
It
Okay.
sounds like you guys are talking from the bottom of a bucket.
Oh, I've been trying to work with these I've been trying to work with my audio. Let me see.
It's okay. I think we can hear you well enough.
Okay. I will try and speak loudly, and I hope it's not too terrible of a bucket. Okay. I'm Janine Crawford. I'm the Public Information Officer for Caltrans, and I cover San Mateo County. And I'm just going to talk to you just a little bit about our comms plans for this project. So we have a full outreach plan in place, and we're going to use that plan to ensure that residents and businesses and travelers along El Camino Real are aware of the closures and any traffic impacts that might arise from the project. So first of all, we've got a mailer, and the mailer will go out to all addresses on the corridor. We have our social media channels, and we're going to post information there, as well as on our website, which you can find if you just go to elcaminorealproject.com. that will resolve to our project website and will host information about construction status, closures, detours, etc. I also have a traffic advisory email list. And a lot of Burlingame residents have already signed up for that list to receive advisories via email. I think I have over 300. So anybody else who wants to sign up, they can go to that project website that's right there. And there is a link on that page for that traffic advisory distribution list. And then my contact information is also on that page. We will also be sending out updates in the Burlingame newsletter. So next slide, please. And then all those things I just talked about, here are the links. So you can use these QR codes, view the project website. Here you can see that all the different places to follow Caltrans District 4, where I'll be posting updates. And you can subscribe to our traffic advisories through this QR code as well, if you'd like. Next slide, thanks. So in terms of our coordination during construction, we have extensive team coordination. Caltrans and our contractor Tykert will hold weekly team meetings during construction, and Burlingame staff will probably be attending those as needed for coordination. They're always welcome. The city also has contact information for our resident engineer. And if there's any issues or any emergencies, they can reach out quickly to that person. And last, we have a radio room in case of emergencies, and the city will have the number to that emergency room as well, just in case anything arises. Now, to give everyone a visual of what El Camino Real will look like after construction, Caltrans developed interactive visualizations for a few of the intersections, and it allows you to move around and see what improvements will look like about 15 years after construction. In addition to the visualizations, there's a drive-through video, and it will show you the new roadway and the sidewalks that are lined with trees, and some highlights of the new improved pedestrian crossings, and some other design features as well. And to get to these, you can either go to the website I mentioned earlier, elcaminorealproject.com. We also have this other website, the two are linked, ecralternatives.com, that has more information on it as well from early stages in the planning of the project. And you can see these from both of those. And next slide. And now, really, just to reiterate, our goal for this project is to minimize traffic impacts and to communicate effectively with all residents, travelers, and the cities. And if you have any questions for anyone, any of the three of us, please, we're here to answer them. So please go ahead. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for the presentation. Commissioners. Commissioner Johnson.
Sure.
Raised her eyebrows. She has questions.
Just actually, I'm sure there's a lot of people in this room, and I know at council, that we're very excited to see this now in motion. I know a lot of people have worked really, really hard on this initiative, and we hear from constituents all the time about what's going on with El Camino. So I also know that in any change, it's going to be major disruption. It sounds like we've got some good plans to try to mitigate some of that. I guess I won't go into a lot of questions about all the different ways we're diverting traffic. I'm sort of assuming that we are working closely with the schools, particularly I'm thinking of McKinley, right there on El Camino, and the way kids are getting to and from school and the impact of that. So just making sure that we're communicating well with the Burlingame School District is, I guess, a statement and a question.
Okay, thank you for raising that. Yes, we want to be in contact with schools, any business along the corridor that's going to be impacted. So we will have these look-aheads, what we call look-aheads, where we'll know when what upcoming construction will take place about 3 weeks ahead of time. And that's when we'll, and that's the time frame that we'll be using to communicate with anyone on that, in that area. Anyone that could be affected.
And
including
you're
the
saying 2
schools.
weeks in advance of when it affects that particular area?
Yes, we have about a 3 week look ahead. And so I would like to get, we'll be communicating with people in those areas between, 3 weeks to 2 weeks in advance.
Might I make a recommendation?
Sure.
I might suggest that we expose BSD and Burlingame High School to this entire plan well in advance of the 2 weeks so that they can start to prepare their communities that this is coming. I think more communication is better. It will reduce the noise as we get closer, and people won't be taken by surprise, especially when you've got busy parents who are trying to think about safe drop-offs and getting kids to school and all of that good stuff. They'll know it's coming. They'll hear it a couple of times. Additionally, on the communications front, I would heavily consider their newsletters and their vehicles for reaching parents now versus waiting. So, and I'm more than happy. I can email you directly the contact information for those people in those newsletters. It's a pretty tight community here, so it's. I think they would probably embrace this and would want to know about it. So that would be just, I guess, now a question and a recommendation. And then the only other, similarly with the schools, we have a lot of places of worship on El Camino, whose congregation comes and goes right off El Camino. And I would also consider reaching out and making sure they're on your communications list as well, just like all the other businesses. And again, they might want to know in advance also more than 2 weeks. So getting them access to this as well, I think would be a good thing.
Okay, very good points. Received, right, on your end?
Oh,
Ms.
I'm
Crawford?
sorry. I guess I don't know if you can hear me. Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for that, for those comments. We will be doing exactly that. And if you have any contacts at any of those organizations, I'm happy to take them. But I will also be researching that, and making sure I'm communicating with schools, churches, and businesses as well.
Yeah, I'll reach out. I'll just send you an email with a bunch of different folks. And this is Jennifer Johnson speaking.
Okay. Other comments?
I had one.
Yeah, Commissioner French?
So thank you, Jeannie and team, for the presentation. I didn't notice a text version for communication, and I super appreciate. I'm signed up for the weather situations, etc. I imagine on the El Camino, you mentioned the start date being December, or the earliest December, the latest January. If we've got major catastrophic storms like that are recurring, that could be delayed. So I know people travel on the holidays a lot. So from November onwards, I always appreciate it on a text. Is there capability to link in with whoever sends those? Is it the city website?
San Mateo County.
Right.
As the alert.
That was.
If there are emergencies, we absolutely will be working with San Mateo County and their alert system. I do not believe that system is used for routine announcements, but any emergencies, absolutely.
I would just think closing El Camino in that part close to downtown is not really just a routine, like it's a big section. I happen to live off of it. There's not only McKinley School, there's St. Catherine's, I mean, there's a lot, there's the funeral home, like there's a lot of areas where people come in to park right at. So I would say that maybe at least an alert, maybe not every week that you need to keep it up, but I think that needs to be more broadly communicated. And just, emails get buried and people are now using their text more and more. So it's just a suggestion.
Mhm.
Thank you. I will communicate with San Mateo and find out what the ability is to leverage their text communication system.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Israelit?
Thanks for the presentation. I had a question. During those times when blocks are going to be completely closed, or at least east, north or southbound, how will residents access their homes?
Okay, so when we're shifting traffic and moving traffic either to the northbound or southbound lanes, or even to the two outside lanes, the contractor will be on site. They will have means to get people back into their properties, be it with plating or other types of surfaces to allow people to drive in and out of their properties. It might take a little bit of time, or maybe a couple minutes, to get things rolling, but that was the plan that we had thus far, and I'm sure that we'll be able to we will be pivoting depending on the circumstances in the field.
So if there's only one travel and there's someone who's trying to access to pull into their apartment building or home, and it's going to take a couple minutes, are we going to be stopping traffic during that time while we wait for them to be able to? I mean, has anyone given thought as to how that's going to work, or also along those lines, emergency vehicles?
Well, certainly we'll be working with the emergency services when we get our closures plans together. I imagine we'll be meeting separately with them. But insofar as residents or businesses are concerned, there should be a person from the contractor's crew dedicated to making these connections work, in terms of identifying someone that needs to pull in to certain property to be able to do so, and trying to minimize the amount of stoppage we have on El Camino Real.
Okay. I would have liked something maybe a little bit more firm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I mean, the plan is that they will have a person on the crew dedicated to
allowing access.
allowing access.
Okay. And then, I just briefly saw one of the diversion maps that you had projected in one of your slides. And I see traffic has diverted onto some pretty tiny, small streets. So that's not going to work, because we only have one lane of travel when cars are parked on both sides of our streets. And then once a week, you're going to have garbage days where people's cans are out. So in order to be able to use our surface roads to divert a good portion of what used to travel down El Camino, I think you're going to have to have no parking on one side of the street if those particular small residential streets are going to be used as a detour, or you're really going to run into problems.
Right, understood. I think when we were developing our detour plans, we did work with city engineers, and I think in some instances, on some of the smaller streets, we are going to be converting them into one directional or one-way traffic streets, and where it's more feasible, there will be two-way traffic. I'm pretty certain that some of the smaller streets, we are converting them to one-way traffic. We'll have flaggers in position at those locations to direct traffic accordingly.
Yes, that's correct, Gary. It's me, Ramel Pardo. Yeah, in developing these diversions along local streets, we actually sat down with city engineers, Burlingame city engineers, to help us locate those streets that are pretty narrow, and that was pointed out to us earlier. And I guess some of the experience that we had, well, Gary had firsthand because he was part of those removal of those trees that fell a few years ago, and he had actual experience in diverting some of these streets. So he has firsthand experience in, I guess, utilizing some of these local streets, and in addition to developing it in conjunction with Burlingame City engineers.
Okay, because I know when you had to take down some of the big trees during the bad storms, that did not work very well at all. Because there's only on all of our residential streets, except for Truesdale and some major ones, there is only room for one lane of travel when there are cars or garbage cans on both sides of the street. So it's not an exception, it's the rule, basically. So just think you need to be very aware of that because it did not work very well when El Camino was closed for eucalyptus removal after the storms.
Yeah, I think that was an emergency circumstance, and I guess the lesson learned from those, we're going to try to apply it on this job. I'm sorry, Gary, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's understood. Yes, when we initially had closed El Camino Real to remove some of those trees, when we had the opportunity to do it under the emergency contracts, it was not as well thought out as it should have been. And we had to pivot and meet with some of the city engineers to get a better understanding of traffic patterns and better diversionary routes. So one thing that we did do on that contract, and we will probably do that on this contract as well, is that we will be trying to divert a lot of the traffic on El Camino Real, either at Millbrae Avenue or Peninsula Avenue, or even beyond, to try to keep a lot of the through traffic off of El Camino Real to minimize the amount of cars and potential traffic delays.
Thank you. And will there be signage on 101 so that people might be aware, maybe not to exit at Millbrae and to stay on until they're past?
Yeah, that's something that we are still planning on executing. It just a lot of times it just depends on the availability of the signs, depending if there's an incident that's been occurring on the freeway itself. But that's something that we're looking into using as well, our large overhead signs.
Okay, I just wanted to point out some nitty gritty things that you might not be aware of if you don't if
Live here.
our streets.
Yeah. Okay, anything else?
I just had one other item on the timeline. So early December, I know I'm downtown Burlingame during holiday shopping season. We have temporary, I don't know what they're called, but they kind of stop traffic going a certain way. They're put on once a year in December. If that's a really busy drive time when everybody's home for the holidays, would it be prudent to maybe push the start out to January when it's a much quieter month? I find December the busiest month of the year. No, it has to start.
It's going to start.
Okay.
Right, I understood. I think our current estimate start time will probably be like late December, early January, and I think that we will take that into consideration. What events are going on in the area to try to minimize the impacts to the Christmas shopping season and whatnot.
Thank you.
Okay. I had a couple of questions. I was curious about the closures on El Camino Real. I saw the one in the diagram there between Howard and Peninsula. And is that the only full closure of El Camino Real, or there were other segments completely closed to traffic during the development?
There are other plans similar to what we had shown that was developed or that were developed.
Okay, and how long do you anticipate the road will be completely closed in those segments? Are we talking days, weeks, month?
Well, if it's a full closure of the roadway, it'll only be for a day. But if we do closures in the sense of closing 2 lanes of El Camino at a time, the last schedule that we saw from the contractor was it's about 1 to 2 months.
Yeah, correct. In that range.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, there's still a couple of travel lanes on El Camino. I was more concerned about the full closure, because that diverts a lot more cars into the neighborhoods. And, that's
I mean,
gonna be difficult and challenging.
yeah, well, I mean, we definitely try to minimize any impact to the public, but considering the sheer number of trees that are out there that needs to be replanted, we've estimated around 400 to 300 trees that need to be replanted. And I guess from experience, really we'll try to be most efficient in the removal with the least impact to the public. And like what Gary said, it will just be a daytime closure, and at the end of the shift, we open it back up. Just to allow as regular traffic as possible. I mean, these trees are pretty tall and fairly wide, 6 foot in diameter that we measured some, and it would require cranes set up to take down the trees safely.
Okay. And in one of your slides, it showed the removal of trees in the northbound lane. I'm assuming there's also going to be trees removed in the southbound lane. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. The first plan of attack is to remove the northbound trees first, and then time their operation such that we would be able to remove the trees in the southbound direction after PG&E concludes their undergrounding work for their high voltage lines.
Yeah,
Okay.
the timing and the phasing of that is due to we realized that majority of the trees in the northbound direction are free and clear of entanglement from overhead power lines. Unlike the trees in the southbound direction, their majority of them are entangled and with PG&E power lines. So we need to have those PG&E power lines undergrounded first prior to us taking down the trees in the southbound direction.
Got it. Okay. Okay. And just, I'm not an arborist or anything, but just for curiosity, so 136 trees in the northbound lanes, how many in the southbound lanes? And then how many are going to replace the trees that you've removed? Just curious.
We've done a count, talking to the landscape. We anticipate taking down 400 trees. We plan on replanting 450 trees in that ballpark. So it's going to be a net gain of about 50 or so trees that will be replanted.
And again, I'm not an arborist. What kind of trees are going to be replacing the eucalyptus?
In order to stay consistent with state historical society, it needed to retain its historical significance. So it will be eucalyptus. However, it will be a different breed of eucalyptus that doesn't grow as wide, but it will be able to provide a similar canopy as was discussed with the Burlingame. I forgot the group name. I mentioned it as well. Yeah, the task force. There was a Burlingame task force that we met earlier, and I kind of mentioned in my slide, we wanted to maintain the character of the grove because that's the Howard Ralston eucalyptus grove. However, we also need to improve the safety of the roadway and the sidewalk. So that was the.
I think you fell into the swimming pool again.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's my connection. It might be my connection, but my apologies.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, it was all part and parcel of trying to maintain the character of the Howard Ralston Grove and about making the roadway and the sidewalk safe.
Okay.
Chairman. My understanding is they've been working very closely with the Burlingame Historical Society as well as the Beautification Commission as well.
Correct. Yes.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Any other questions, commissioners? Okay. We did have one email from Mr. Valesco. So I just want to acknowledge we received that. We read it. I won't read it here, but We'll forward, staff has it.
Staff has it. We'll
Yep,
forward it.
the consultants. I want to go to public comment. If there's any public comment on El Camino Real, you're welcome to step up to the podium now. Yep.
I'm Jen Faber again. Thanks
Hi,
for
yeah.
letting me make a comment. Thanks, and just reiterating and supporting all of the things that have been stated. I was also able to listen to the conversation on Zoom on Monday night at the city council meeting, and it's my understanding that there will be no work at night and on the weekends. And I just would urge the city and this commission and Caltrans to consider doing something different here. The scope of this project cannot be overstated. Like, it's going to be so impactful. I have children going to BHS, to BIS, and to Hoover. People in this city use El Camino multiple times a day, and every road on the periphery of El Camino is very narrow. And so it's going to be extremely catastrophic to only have this work going on during the commuting hours of the day and during daylight. And I just think about all of the impact to all of the drivers in the community during that time. I would urge some of this work to happen at night and on weekends when there's much less congestion. It will come at a larger cost, I understand, but it will also help the project move forward quicker. This project could end before 2029. And I really think it's super important, as it's going to impact so much of Burlingame, because have no other thoroughfare. Like, people can't go up Skyline. We can't go to Caroline and California and use kind of Rollins as a way to get back and forth through all of these areas. And I think Caltrans and the contractors must have enough personnel to be able to do some of this work at times that are going to be less impactful to the community. That's my main comment. And just to reiterate Commissioner Johnson's point about working with the schools and the churches and the businesses, that's so important. Many people I've talked to have never even heard of this project. And so some people, one person who has older children was like, this wasn't in the New York Times. And I was like, you should probably start subscribing to the e-news and looking at the journal. But like, anything we can do from the County of San Mateo, through the schools, through any other channel of kind of communication, because people aren't knowing about this, and it's going to be really catastrophic when we start closing El Camino in December.
Yes, agreed. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Other public comments? Ms. Camarado, did I get that right?
Hi, thank you again. I was thinking that maybe we put up some of the signs that say that El Camino is starting work, especially on Peninsula Avenue in El Camino, and possibly over by Peninsula Hospital in El Camino, so that people can start to understand, the big kind of red light, like coming soon, El Camino is being worked on, delays possibly for the next whatever. Because we have a lot of people that do take El Camino from all other parts of the county, not just Burlingame. So, if they're getting backed up at 101 in Millbrae, they're taking El Camino to get home to Belmont or parts of San Mateo. So if we can warn people about it that aren't in the community, I think that would be probably great for traffic.
Very good suggestion. Okay, thank you. Any other public comment?
I'd like to point out,
Okay, Commissioner
thank
Israelit?
I'm sorry, I forgot the woman, her name. Oh, yes, Janine. So you had mentioned that there were about 300 people who've signed up for the newsletter or alerts or whatever. I just want to point out that sounds great, but that's only 1% of our population. So we do need to, as a city, make sure that more people are signed up so that they know what's going on.
I'm going to steal a page from Commissioner French's. She mentioned something, and I think it's actually a really good idea. I don't know whether during this time we can offer free shuttle services from like Millbrae to downtown, or through California, or some kind of shuttle that goes up and down for a period of, during this period of time. I don't know what resources we have to do that. I don't know whether it's feasible, but I think it's something that is worth looking into. In the same way that Mercy has their shuttle that goes up and down Adeline. And that might, people might be incented to do that if it avoids congested streets, get people onto some kind of shuttle service.
Okay. Another comment from the public? Yep, go ahead.
How about the trolley that we used to have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The trolley.
Burlingame trolley that we kind of,
That stops at the train station here, that trolley?
it could help some of the residents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Need to get around, especially.
yeah, yeah.
early.
Get the high school kids
Yeah.
back on the trolley. Get them to
Good.
school.
So I did want to get back to the question from the public about not working at night and on weekends, Mr. Pardo or Mr. Lai or Ms. Crawford. Do you want to respond to that? Curious why that's off the table.
It's not off the table. It was a thought and a consideration. However, we've realized that there are residents along the corridor that live literally 30 or 40 feet from some of the work. And it was one of the thoughts that not to impact, I guess, their sleep, I guess you could say. Night work is nothing new to us, to Caltrans. We do it all the time. However, it was, I guess, the noise ordinance and the residents that live very close or on El Camino Real. We just wanted to minimize any disturbance to them as well. But it's definitely not off the table. But we're going to have to look at that again and see what we can do.
Understood.
For 4 years.
Yeah, understood. Weekends is a possibility as well?
Weekends is, Gary, I'll let Gary speak. He is the construction manager, and my apologies.
Yeah, I believe right now the weekends are a possibility. I know that there were plans to work on some of the larger intersections during the weekends, just because of the sheer amount of work that's going to be required to get in and try to expedite those items of work at those locations. But certainly weekend work is not off the table. It's something that contractors are probably still looking at.
Okay. Okay, very good.
And if I'd like to add, I guess that's one of the reasons why during our weekly construction meetings, we highly request and even encourage city engineers or staff to join those meetings so we could keep a close coordination and updates to city staff.
Okay. And you did hear the public's comment about signage on like the Millbury entrance to El Camino and the San Mateo entrance to El Camino, that construction ahead, delays expected, things like that, to maybe defer people to other routes. I hope you got that comment. I thought it was a good comment.
Yes, that's something that I jotted down, and that's something that we're going to look into.
Okay, very good. All right, any other comments? No other comments? Any comments?
Well, you did have a schematic that showed what the project will look like in 15 years after completion. I just want to point out that I will be in my 80s.
I think you have somebody online that has their hands up.
I think we had one more comment from the public and we'll end. Go ahead.
Just really briefly, there are flashing lights on El Camino from starting almost at 9 p.m. all the way until 5 or 6 in the morning. And so work until 11 p.m. can at least go on if it's not going to disrupt sleep. And you can also start work at 5 in the morning. But I think the point is that it's going to be disruptive to everybody in Burlingame, not just to people living on El Camino. And so I think we need to look at when else we can do work besides from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. because those are the most catastrophic times to be doing work on El Camino.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, Ms. Crawford, Mr. Pardo, Mr. Lai, thank you very much for the presentation. Mr. Wong, thank you. And I think we have plenty of feedback. I'm sure council gave you a lot of feedback as well. So I hope take all this into consideration, and we're looking forward to the project starting, even though I know it's going to be challenging for a lot of the residents in that area, but it's definitely a project that is long overdue. I drove down El Camino today and gosh, it was flooded and sidewalks were all broken up. I hate to lose those beautiful trees, but they are kind of making a big mess of that roadway. So definitely looking forward to some improvements. Good luck to you, and I hope this progresses very quickly and smoothly. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you so much.
Very much. Bye.
Thank you.
All right. See somebody patiently waiting in the audience. I'll bet this is San Mateo County Transportation Authority person.
Through the chair.
Want to introduce Mr. Wong?
Bill, I will welcome back Miss Sue Ellen Atkinson. She presented to us before back in February, the 101 corridor plan. So tonight, she will be giving us the countywide transportation plan as soon as I do the share screen.
Do I need to?
Ms. Atkinson, thank you for your patience.
It's on?
It's-
Okay.
Yeah, the light's not on.
No lights. All right. Good evening or good night, everyone. Um, Thanks for having me tonight. Sue Ellen Atkinson, Manager of Planning and Fund Management at the San Mateo County Transportation Authority. I'm here on behalf of both the SMCTA and CCAG to present on the San Mateo County-wide Transportation Plan update.
Oh, that's share.
I can just riff, that's fine.
Sorry. I thought I had share.
I'll start going, that's all right. So the countywide transportation plan is a long-range transportation plan for the county. So you were just really focused in on El Camino, so let's zoom out and think countywide for a few. Last time the plan was updated was in 2017. So that was pre-pandemic. The world has changed a bit. And so we are looking to update that plan to reflect all of the changes in the transportation environment within San Mateo County. And right now we're at the very beginning stages of the plan and doing presentations like this around the county to hear from stakeholders like you to help craft the vision and goals for the plan. Can we go back one,
Oh, sorry.
2, 3?
My bad.
There we go. All right. So tonight I will go as quickly as I can. We'll start with going over what the countywide transportation plan is and what it does. We'll do a little bit of an overview of how we move around San Mateo County and outside of San Mateo County. We will then talk about looking ahead to 2050, which is the horizon year for this plan. So feels like a long way away, but we're going to get there sooner rather than later. And then next steps for the plan. Next slide. So as mentioned, I'm here on behalf of 2 agencies. The Countywide Transportation Plan is a collaboration between the City and County Association of Governments, or CCAG, and the San Mateo County Transportation Authority. So we're partnered in moving this plan forward and updating from our current 2017 plan. And just for reference, you can kind of think of the difference between the 2 agencies in that CCAG is responsible more so for planning, for policy development rather, and the strategic coordination for the plan. And then the TA is more focused on the funding side and delivery of projects in the future. So that's just a little overview of the 2 agencies. Next slide. All right, so we'll go over the purpose of the plan update. Next slide. So Countywide Transportation Plan creates a vision for the future of transportation in San Mateo County at a very high level. It sets priorities and it guides decision-making at both CCAG and SMCTA as we plan, fund, and help deliver local and regional transportation improvements. And one other very important role that the CTP plays is it gives San Mateo County the opportunity to craft our own vision and have that be implemented as part of the Metropolitan Transportation Commission's Regional Transportation Plan. So this is our opportunity to lay out the higher level projects that San Mateo County wants to see coming in the next 25 years and have that rolled into the Regional Transportation Plan. Next slide. So the CTP is an umbrella for many more detailed plans. And it stitches together many other types of plans from other agencies related to different types of modes and other topics throughout the county. So there are a lot of other focused plans that you can explore if you're interested in more detailed information. But the CTP really looks to aggregate all of this into the highest level vision for transportation within the county. Next slide. All right. So since the last CTP was adopted in 2017, we've done a lot of work within the county. And there are just 3 of the many transportation projects that have been done are highlighted on the screen. And this just gives a sense of what types of projects are included in the countywide transportation plan. So it's not the small roadway projects, it's really larger countywide or regional projects. So the first project is the completion of the 101 express lanes from I-380 south to the San Mateo-Santa Clara County border. Second, the electrification of Caltrain, which just celebrated its 1-year anniversary of electrification. And then the third large project that's been implemented since the last CTP was adopted was the implementation of the 101 Smart Corridor. So Caltrans was just talking about the message boards along 101. That's part of the Smart Corridor project that's been implemented and was first identified in the countywide transportation plan. Next slide. So the process that we're going through to update the CTP will take about a year. So again, we're at the very, very, very beginning of this and looking to define the visions and goals for this update. And so in doing all of these stakeholder presentations to commissions like yours, we're looking to get feedback from the community to reflect that in the plan. Once we finish with the stakeholder engagement, we'll go back to develop the strategies and actions for the plan. And then going into the spring, we'll be generating the overarching project list. And again, those are larger countywide regional projects. In summer, we expect to have a draft plan that would then be out for public review. And then coming up in about a year, the final plan. Next slide. So the key outcomes that we're looking for in the CTP update are to really implement some lessons that were learned from the prior CTP and to first anticipate changes in technology and funding, for example, so that we can be a bit more nimble in transportation projects. We're looking to advance equity within the county as it relates to transportation projects, looking to be able to strategize funding. Transportation projects are not getting cheaper. And so we need to look for ways that we can strategize how to phase projects and also how to leverage funding in order to piece together funding for these big projects. And then we also want to have a better way to measure our progress. The prior CTP had a lot of metrics that we were supposed to be utilizing. And we're looking to do something a little bit more practical in this update. I think there you go. So all in all, we're trying to have a more practical plan for the county. And coming out of the 2017 plan, as former city staff, I wasn't utilizing the CTP very much in my day-to-day. We're looking to update the CTP in a way that it is more useful to our local agencies and to the county as well. Next slide. So we'll go a little bit over some of the kind of ground truthing that we've done so far to get started on the CTP update. Next slide. We're using a lot of recent studies that have been done over the last 5 years. As Mr. Wong mentioned, I was here previously on a plan that our agency has been working on. We've been working on several, and there have been a lot of planning efforts going on in the county in the last 5 years. So rather than reinvent the wheel and do additional engagement, we pulled together all of the data collection and engagement that was done as part of those plans to aggregate it and get a sense for where the community is. So we're looking to share what we've heard over the last 5 years or so and validate that locally and make sure that it's reflective of what's happening within your community. Next slide. So over the last 5 years, in the various plans that were on the previous slide, we did engagement through a lot of different methods. We did online surveys, we did in-person surveys, we did in-person events, online engagement, targeted engagement on social media, including boosted social media ads, et cetera, and then utilizing our backbone transit network and getting survey feedback at transit stops along the Samtrans route. And then doing a lot of meetings with our CBOs, business community, and advocacy groups. in order to get feedback directly in focus group methods. So all in all, we've engaged throughout the county with about 30,000 residents over the last 5 years. So using all of that feedback to help guide us in the CTP effort. Next slide. So we'll start at the very highest level, which is commuting. Commuting is information that's collected in the census, so we're starting there. But we all know or can guess that the largest portion of the trips that we're making in our daily lives is not necessarily commuting. But regardless, most people within San Mateo County for commute trips are still driving. That's not surprising. We are also seeing a shift to hybrid work, of course, with return to work policies shifting. San Mateo County trades workers and residents more than most counties do, with about 2/3 of our employees entering from another county and about 2/3 of our residents exiting to other counties, mostly Santa Clara County or San Francisco County. We're seeing for journey to work, which again is not all of our trips, about an average distance of 20 miles. So pretty long range travel, and really emphasizing the need for bidirectional regional connections in the county. But as mentioned, we make a lot of other trips. And through research that was done as part of the Regional Transportation Transit Connections Study, the average trip length within San Mateo County for all trips, 56% of our trips are under 3 miles. So that gives you a sense of, when we're talking about mode shift, when we're talking about how people are getting around, we're not necessarily only looking at commute trips. Transportation is about how you get to the grocery store, how you drop daycare. So we're trying to make sure we're looking at all of that. Next slide. Most people still prefer to drive alone, but a good percentage do take the train to work. And when we were doing the Regional Transit Connections survey, we also asked, how would you like to travel? So it may not be an option right now, but if you could, how would you like to? And many indicated that they would prefer to switch to traveling by train, bus, or ferry rather than driving. And we also asked where they would like to see improvements made to help them in those transportation options. And primarily improvements were desired in Alameda County, or the connections to Alameda, San Francisco, and Santa Clara County, just emphasizing the regional connections that our residents are making. Next slide. All right, so the next few slides go into existing conditions today. I'll go over them at as high a level as possible. Starting off with our roadway network, because a lot of people are driving. So our roadway network, as we're very familiar with, is anchored by 101 80. And we have a grid-like roadway network on the bay side, like in Burlingame. But as you get out to the coast side, it does become more winding roads and more rural. What we're seeing is warehousing and light industrial uses are concentrated on the bay side. And so we have to consider truck routes as well. And in considering that, US 101 is actually our primary freight corridor within the peninsula. Next slide. So that's what we have, what we're hearing about our roadways. In the North and Mid-County multimodal strategies that the TA is wrapping up now, traffic congestion remains the highest concern among residents in North and Mid-Counties, and actually South County as well, I could tell you that. And we see peak hour congestion within the peninsula area along the bay side. We're seeing it a little differently on the coast side. Their congested periods on the coast side tend to be more weekends, events, pumpkin festivals perhaps. And there are some specific areas that have been identified for improvement, including El Camino, Highway 1, and the 101-92 interchange. And what we're hearing is that driving feels useful and mostly reliable. People can usually depend on getting where they want to go, but it feels unsafe. And people recognize that driving is expensive. Next slide. In terms of our transit network, our primary transit providers are Caltrain, Samtrans, WETA for our ferry service, and BART. And most of the trails rail service is provided, of course, along our bayside, right where we are right now. We don't have as many transit options on the coast side. And we do have shuttles that were discussed previously that are provided by cities and employers to try to provide some of that first last mile service for areas that are not as well served. Next slide. So what we're seeing in terms of transit use for rail, Caltrain is not back to pre-pandemic ridership, but it's climbing. It's trying to get there. Our 5 busiest stations are Redwood City, Millbrae, Hillsdale, Daly City, and Colma. Again, within North County and Mid and South County, for North County, most people drive or take local transit to connect to that regional transit that they're using. Within Mid and South County, most people are actually walking to take regional transit. So that was kind of interesting to see. Next slide. So moving away from rail and going into bus and shuttle, Samtrans is, of course, our backbone of our transit service. The busiest routes, no surprise, El Camino tops that list. And Samtrans ridership is actually back up to 100% of pre-pandemic levels. However, for our shuttle ridership, we're still seeing that it's at about 50% of pre-pandemic ridership. And that's because the people who rely on Samtrans are typically reliant on it for daily use and not just for work trips, whereas the shuttles are typically used by commuters. So the reduced ridership is reflective of those return to work policies changing. Next slide. So what we're hearing in terms of transit is that there's a desire for more frequent and reliable transit within the 101 corridor. People want to be able to take transit more, and they want it to be able to be there and when they want it and get them where they want to go. And they would prefer to take transit more often, but again, there need to be more first and last mile solutions, more affordable fare options, or commuter benefits provided by their employers. Next slide. And then active transportation. So this is active mobility, people walking, biking, or rolling to get where they need to go. We do have some existing countywide connections for our active transportation network, but are we connected? No, not yet. We do have a backbone bike network planned as part of CCAG's comprehensive bike and pedestrian plan, but it has not yet been fully implemented. We also have a countywide sidewalk inventory that is currently in progress or about to start in order to help build up the pedestrian safety components of the network as well. Next slide. So what we're hearing in terms of our active transportation network within the county, safety remains one of the highest concerns for people who are walking, biking, and rolling to get where they'd like to go. And for those who want to walk and bike more, what they're looking for in order to do that is intersection improvements, better and safer crossings of US 101, which through our Active 101 plan, we're actually proposing enhancements to 15 of our 22 crossings within the county. Low stress facilities on major corridors, including El Camino, and e-bike incentive programs, which Burlingame actually just received funding from the TA to continue the e-bike incentives. Next slide. All right, so looking ahead to 2050, and we can go to the next slide, I would say. We have a host of projects already, efforts already underway through several different agencies. Caltrain is working on the grade separation corridor crossing strategy. Samtrans has several initiatives underway, including the Grand Boulevard Initiative that I believe your city heard about recently. CCAG has the countywide local roadway safety plan implementation beginning next year. At the TA, we are working on our Peninsula Shuttle Program update that just started, and also about to adopt our North and Mid County multimodal strategies next month, and then wrapping up our South County strategy early next year. Next slide. So when we're looking ahead to 2050, there are some factors that we have to keep in mind when we're looking to plan this far into the future. And we're looking out to 2050 again as the horizon plan for horizon year for this plan. And there are some factors that we can't directly influence, and we need to be nimble about when we're looking ahead into the future. First and foremost, for a lot of people, housing supply and costs. And supporting the additional housing that's intended to come into the county with a transportation system that can support them. Transit funding deficit is top of mind, perhaps more so at my workplace. But that's something to be considering when we're looking ahead as to what transportation options we can provide. Aging populations within the county, how do we support aging in place? And how do we provide transportation options for people who may need different options as they move into their later years? All right, next slide. And one more. Okay, I'm pretty much done talking for this evening. And so it's an opportunity to ask all of you some questions. So what we're looking for from this committee is feedback to help us establish the goals and the visions for the upcoming transportation plan update. So first, we're looking for feedback on what works currently. So from your perspective, what's working well in terms of transportation today? And then conversely, what are the key challenges that you're seeing in the county in terms of transportation? Third, for underserved areas to enhance equity, are there specific neighborhoods or populations that you feel are not well served? And then fourth is my colleague's favorite question. If you had a magic wand, what one transportation project would you like to see implemented in the next 25 years? So we can pause there, or I can wrap up and come back to the slide, whichever you would prefer.
Why don't you wrap and then we'll come back to the slide.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Advance one more. There you go. Next steps. So I'll just quickly touch on those next steps, and then we'll bring it back to you for those questions. Next slide. So again, we've got about a year in front of us for this project. So once we are complete on taking feedback from transportation committees like yours across the county, that information will be incorporated into our visions and goals for the CTP update. And then we'll be going into the strategies and actions to move the update forward. And then in spring, we'll be generating that high-level project list and work with our city partners to vet those projects. And then coming into the draft plan period, that's where we'll be back to the community again for public review, wrapping up in about a year. And that wraps up the presentation. So just wanted to say thank you again for having me tonight, and thanks for listening and contributing feedback that you're about to do. You're the eyes and the ears of the community. We're not able to be everywhere. So we want to ensure that what you see in your community and what you see as needed in the county is reflected in the plan. So with that, we could go back to slide 27. There we go.
Yep.
Thank
We
you.
got it on our screens. Thank you, Ms. Atkinson. Why don't we just start with the first question? What works currently? Commissioners, anybody want to offer some? Yep. Commissioner Israeli, I'm looking at you. You're looking at me, so go ahead.
What works currently here in Berkeley, the train system, I think. I'm glad it's electrified. I don't really use buses, so I don't really know, but public transportation running north-south seems to work really well.
Yeah, Commissioner Johnson. Okay, I won't put you on the spot
Can jump in.
anymore. Go ahead.
I think that if I think about it from a city perspective, I think we've taken some bold moves to implement Vision Zero. So that's very exciting. And that involved a lot of community engagement and involvement in collecting that information. I think that's become a guiding force for us in terms of where we prioritize projects. So that's a good step. I think that I would agree with Commissioner Israelite about both BART and Caltrain being right here, and I know it's a big, uh, important way in which a lot of our community gets up and down the corridor. So those two things, I think the city is moving in. We also have a bike ped plan, being implemented in different ways. It may not be the universal truth, but it is a guiding, for everyone, but it is a guiding force for how projects are also prioritized. So these different things that are in place from a city planning perspective, I think, makes it a lot easier for us to weigh in on different projects that come up across the city.
Anything?
Speak from personally, I actually took BART last night. I haven't taken it probably in 7 years. And so it's working, as it always does. But just thinking about the size of the car parking structure at Millbury, I actually drove to South City and parked. I meant to go to Daly City. It was the closest one to the city, but anyway, I got mixed up. And I will say, coming out at night, it's all open parking and pitch black dark. And as a female, like, I would not be taking it in the evening in the winter. So I think if we could promote a more like safe exit point from, it's great to get the train, but then you don't want to be walking to your car. So I think that could be looked at. And I think Millbury's the same, like, it's eons away from when you disembark and you're maybe walking down quite a ways. So that just would be an observation last night. Yeah, I haven't taken the Caltrain. I can't really speak to that. I think the Wi-Fi and like biking areas, I think all of that as technology progresses, they're doing a great job of keeping that updated, because I would always want to be able to work if I was on I was recently got a Go Pass to take the Caltrain. I kept threatening to do it to work, but it's about the Wi-Fi and how good that is, whether I would commute with a laptop or not. So, to think of why are people using public, it's often to get to work. So yeah, I think that's working really well in the Bay Area.
So I'll just say the same. I rode Caltrain for a long time to go to work, and it worked very well. Fortunately, I'm only about a mile from Caltrain, so it was easy to get there and get back home. Other things that are working well. So we did put we focus a lot on ped or bike commuting north-south, and in particular on California between Caltrain and BART, the multimodal transit hub in Millbrae. I think our city did as much as they could with California Drive there, and we have a cycle track. Did I get that right, Mr. Wong? The cycle track, yeah, which is really nice because the bikers are very well protected. I think that worked really well. I think the last count we did have a number of people were using that, and we counted bikes for a certain period of time, and it looked like it was getting good utilization. So that was good. I think that worked well. But we hit a challenge once we crossed Broadway, and trying to get safe bike routes on that section of the north-south route is very difficult. And I think Caltrain owns a lot of that property, and so to put a cycle track up onto that easement area off the road is not something we can do. And I don't know if it's anything the county can do if Caltrain doesn't agree to it, but that would be really awesome if we could just continue our cycle track past Broadway, off the roadway onto that median area, or that Caltrain, area, and just make it a real safe route all the way down to the Millbury BART station. That would be really awesome if there's something that could be done there. So those are my thoughts. Key challenges. Anybody want to offer key challenges?
That was a key challenge.
Oh, it's kind of, yeah. I challenge you.
Well, I do as a cyclist, I'm genuinely not comfortable, even though we know I rode the cycle superhighway in London many a time with 9 million buses. While there's been tremendous work, and I wasn't part of this work, you know, to make the green bike lanes. I still feel like I don't know what to do when I get to the top of the traffic. And then once the stop sign changes, so for example, in many other countries, the bike lanes feed in and they are all allowed to sit in front of the top row of cars at the lights. And it's known that you let the bikes go first. But I feel like here, we've done a great job of bringing everybody to the traffic light, and then I don't know what to do. So that is a safety concern. Like, I wouldn't want my children cycling if that's not clear. I don't know what the rules are because I haven't cycled the roads.
It's a cultural issue.
Okay, right. It's us versus the SUV.
Totally.
Okay. So I think that's an area for a little enhancement.
Okay, other thoughts?
I think that the challenges are just, I said this when I applied for the commission, and that is getting people to get out, to look up and to get out of their phones. And there's nothing you can do about that. But I just think that, you know, it's pedestrian safety, it's driver safety, it's biking safety, it's safety. But a lot of it is stuff that isn't, it's individual behavior. So, you know, I see pedestrians exhibit the same bad behavior as drivers, and that they're crossing crosswalks like this and they're not paying attention. So I think that's a transportation challenge. And then I would just echo just the connected bike lanes. I think we'd get more bikers if things felt safer. And those were more connected hubs between one point and.
So I'm going to call out the elephant in the room and talk about the Broadway grade
I was saving that for.
separation.
I was.
Yep.
I was.
That is,
I could wave a magic.
that is a huge challenge, right? I mean, I'm so discouraged hearing how that's ballooned in cost, and it's almost unfeasible, or it's not possible. You know, I'm glad it's still ongoing, and they're still trying to figure out how they can fund that or design it so it's, you know, economically feasible. But that, yeah, that is a huge challenge, and it's a very, very unsafe intersection, as you know. I mean, everybody knows that. But the challenge is, how do they build it, and how can it be built in economically so it, you know, we can fund it. It's just, it's crazy, but it needs to be done at some point. I don't know what else to say about it, but that's probably our biggest challenge right now.
That's my magic wand thing.
And if I had a magic wand, there you go. That answers that question.
And being from not or from this area originally, like I don't understand how a town of 30,000 residents is supposed to fund something, you know, carry a good deal of the financial weight to have something that is really not just our little town. It's the entire, you know, train system. It's the north, south, you know, whole Bay Area. Like, how can one town supposed to be come up with so much portion of the funding? It just can't happen. And it's for everyone's benefit to have this done. I don't really understand why there isn't more state or county or whatever monies to assist in this really dangerous. I think Caltrans said it was like one of the most dangerous intersections in the state.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my spiel. And that's, if I had a magic wand, that's what it would be fixed tomorrow.
Same on the magic wand.
Okay. That makes 3 of us with the magic wand. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. 4 of us magic wand on Broadway interchange.
Or
Yeah. Any underserved areas?
The community that I think especially that I care the most about right now is our older our elders, the ones that are on fixed incomes and may have just been told that they can't drive anymore, or taking a bus may be challenging. And San Mateo County had this great program where I think you had to fit within a certain category, but you got 6 rides, taxi rides for free or for a very reduced cost a month. and that program was just cut. My mother-in-law used that program. She lives in Half Moon Bay. And while we can afford to drive her back and forth, and that'll be fine, there are a lot of other folks out there that are on very fixed incomes and really relied on that service. And 6 is a small number. I would love to see that be as many as they needed. Maybe that's 12, maybe that's 24 a month. But I know that that was a critical way for her to stay, she's still living at home independently, but it was a way for her to feel free. And so I think if we could figure out a way to fund that program and get seniors back so that they feel like they are mobile as well.
Ditto.
Do they pay? Do seniors pay? For
It's a small amount. It's like,
They have a break.
Ann, do you know, is it like $6 or, yeah. It's a small number.
Because they can't get to the bus stop.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
get that far.
Anywhere in the county. It's a beautiful program. Yep.
I don't have an elder parent or anything.
Yeah, I mean, some people don't have families,
Right.
like I elderly had a set of elderly parents, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know how to serve people, but we talk about a lot of north-south
Mhm.
traffic and trying to make things easy for people going north-south. We don't talk about east-west. And there's people up in our hills that, and they may be elderly, that want to get down to the hospitals or get down
Mm.
the downtown areas or the shopping centers. And I don't think that we have really any shuttles or any way for those people to, if they're not mobile, to, get down to the areas out of those hills. And so that's a thought. I think that's an underserved area for transportation for sure.
I mean, we did look at shuttles and there wasn't a big enough demand to
Yeah.
finance a shuttle, but the subsidized cab rides or Uber rides or whatever,
Mhm.
that could be very financially feasible.
Waymo.
The
Yeah.
other thing, magic wand, and I don't know if maybe it's not permitted, but I've seen in major cities, like food delivery with little robots. Is that banned in San Mateo County, or are we just not that trendy yet, tech-wise? But I'm seeing that in the city, so I'm thinking as you talk about the elderly uphill, those little machines could do deliveries for them from Walgreens. I just didn't know if it's a county-wide or, do you know what I'm talking? I don't know what they're called.
They have them in Berkeley. They're
They're in San Francisco too.
Yeah. They're little robots
That deliver.
that deliver food.
So,
I'm not aware of any bans,
yeah,
but I've made note of that.
you know,
Okay.
leveraging tech.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Ms. Atkinson, does that help?
That's all we're asking for.
Okay.
So thank you again for having us tonight.
Before you leave, I want to give the public an opportunity to weigh in. And so I'll invite former Mayor Keegren up to the podium.
Thank you for the presentation. So what I'm going to say is actually already been mentioned, but I'll elaborate a little bit, is the east-west transportation. So I work for a nonprofit, and we have conducted a lot of focus groups and task force groups to focus on issues for older adults. And one of the top priorities for most of our older adults is transportation. And so what has come up is that, and this is whether it's in Burlingame, Millbrae, Brisbane, many of these cities have built new community centers. And the older adults are telling me we can't get there. We're in the hills. So we spend all this money on phenomenal community centers and or libraries, or updating city halls, and they just cannot get to these events. And we need to get older people out of their homes, not bringing things necessarily to them. We want them out of their homes. The mental health, component for older adults is a necessity. And so if we had those shuttles, that would be beneficial. When I was a kid here, we did have Samtrans shuttles, and they'd go up Hillside and they'd go Truesdale, and I think there's someone else in the audience that grew up with me, that we'd use these shuttles. And it wasn't just for older adults, but it was for everyone. And so school kids used them, older adults used them to get to the downtown library, et cetera. So that would be definitely one thing in regards to transportation that we lack. And it's not just a Burlingame issue, it's a county issue. So I just wanted to reiterate that. Thank you.
All right.
And it is a Got Wheels program
Yes.
that started with a contract with PFS, Peninsula Family Services, and through our organization too, we've worked with all the cities. And I know MTC had given some money, I think last year, extra funding for Got Wheels, but we have suggested to the cities that they maybe put some extra money in their budgets, that they can actually increase the number of people in their community to be able to use that service if you use your money in your general budget. So just wanted to throw that out.
I suspect it may just be also just an awareness, but folks don't know it exists.
Some people, I mean, there are many that do now that didn't before.
Yep.
I mean, we started with one city, Daly City, and it has increased to, I think, 18 or 20 cities now. So it's really grown in the last.
And it's run by your nonprofit?
It's the Got Wheels program.
The Got Wheels.
So Peninsula Family Services, they have a coordinator
Okay.
through their facility that you can get
Yeah.
the little cards each month. And communication, of course, is very important for transportation, because there are many things that are offered throughout the county, but people don't know about it. So that's another domain we focus on, is the communication with older adults. So because, sometimes they'll say, well, the funding's not there because people don't use it. Well, sometimes people don't use it because they don't know about it.
Right. Okay.
Thank
Thank you very much. Any other public comments? No. Okay. We'll close that item 6C. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All righty. Moving along. Whew. Mr. Wong, I told you this was too long of an.
This is, yeah. Hot.
See, I was right. Okay. No, it's
Never
okay.
doubted you.
We're trying to wrap up by before the end of the year. Okay. Item 7.
We've had,
And there were no
had a couple light
comments?
things, so.
Yeah.
No public comments on that one, right? Mr. Ting? Okay, thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to 7A, our informational items. Any public comments? Assuming nothing. No, all right, good. So community group updates? Assuming nothing. Okay, good. Engineering reports, Mr. Wong.
Thank you, Chair Martos. Just a couple or a few for you. First off, Barrier Lake traffic calling, which some of the remaining residents are interested in. So we have been working with the city, as the commission knows, we have been working with the city of San Mateo on trying to do some traffic calming improvements along Barrier Lake. Initially, it started for the area that was west of Occidental. And then we looked at the folks between Occidental and El Camino. The data collection's been done for that section, and San Mateo ran the data and indicated that it did not meet their warrants or their criteria for these high level or speed cushions at this time. So we are going to put that section on hold, and the section between Occidental and West, we'll be looking at doing some improvements. There'll be a survey going to that part of the community, and we will report those results back to the commission at a future date. For the folks that live east of Occidental, we're not done. What we plan to do is, when these improvements, whatever is selected, are implemented, along with the improvements that have just been done recently on Occidental, we'll go back out, since we have where we put our data counters, and see what the change is and review that. So ideally, that the speeds go down in that section, down further, and there's no speed cushions there, no devices, and you get the benefit. And if there's a change where it increases, they're close enough, we'll review that section. That's the plan moving forward with the folks in San Mateo. And next, hillside traffic improvements. If you've been up there lately, and we spoke about it, or it was mentioned earlier for Mercy and Hoover, that we have implemented those larger stop signs and the red striping, something new that we haven't done through the city. So those improvements are in. And ideally, we still have the contractor working with us, I believe on the Occidental project. We're going to try to get the bulb outs on Hillside and Carlos in. My colleague, Mr. Yang's trying to work on that. He's got a little funding left, so he's hoping we can not necessarily the RFPs at this point, but we'll definitely get the bulb outs in and then still move forward with the RFPs with a different contractor.
RFPs are for the.
The flashing beacon for the crossing at Carlos, on Hillside at Carlos.
And did, also, we were gonna have the permanent sign that had.
We'll look at that and that one we're coming across, we tried to order up some new ones. I'll see if we can squeeze another one in there just because it's procuring them and then getting them to install because our guys aren't able to do that.
So, Mr. Wong, we won't do the striping until the beacons are ready. Is that correct?
We can go ahead and do a bulb out still. We will do that first and then we'll follow with the beacons because it's just a bulb out with a high visibility crosswalk at that point. So it still has improved the improvement of getting pedestrians where they're not in the travel way, but they're in the bulb area, which will be clearly marked and they can get a little closer, better visibility, and then be able to cross.
Okay. And do you know how much do you know the delay between the implementation of that and the beacons?
Not at this point.
Okay.
The last one, I will do a quick share. We don't normally do this for the engineer's report, but Mr. Yang, who had worked on this, that's not it. Oh, it's gone. I was going to show you the improvements that have been done for the Hills or Occidental project. If I can get it. That's not it. Here we go.
I know. Contacted him.
All right. So just wanted to give you the Occidental traffic calming project because it actually it's mostly done. There's just a few punch list items, but just to let you know, this again was I think it was a $700,000 grant that we got to do a bunch of these improvements, the design and the actual construction. Just to give you an idea, here's Occidental looking north at Ralston. This is what it previously looked like. And if you go out there now, it's better marked. We've narrowed it up. You'll see another shot, but then also we've gotten immediate feedback from the neighborhood there indicating that a lot of support. They appreciate the change that's occurred there. They notice what's happening out there, slower speeds, more accessibility. Let me flip around to the other side here. This is looking at, I believe it's Heritage Park, but looking at the southeast corner, you could see right now, if we did an aerial view, this crosswalk would be way skewed, way big open intersection. Whoa. And now we have an island. We never had a crossing for the side of the street to get to Heritage Park. They had to do a 3-loop or 3 segments. So implemented, and again, more comments. Implement it quickly as well as under budget. So hence we're able to use some of the funds for some of the other things that we have. And that's just letting you know, our design team who you met before, the Kimley Horn folks and Mr. Yang, just wanted you to know the contractors we worked with. So again, we worked with Park and Rec, Mr. Rich Holtz, our city arborist, to work on the landscaping out there and make sure there was a theme, as well as Mr. Wu, who's presented here, and Mr. Yang. They were critical in pushing this thing through. So I just wanted to give it up, let you guys see it. It's a big change, and so we'll be having other projects like that at some point. But
We have a ribbon cutting for this, or a little champagne we can.
We'll see. We'll see what the director says, or the new director. But yeah, it's in. So try it out, and it'll hopefully be a benchmark or for future projects that we can do for other areas.
Wow. I know.
Lion Oak next, yeah.
Potentially.
Is that it, Mr. Wong?
That's it.
Okay, comments?
just,
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah,
great
thank the
job. It looks great.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm glad you showed the pictures because I drove through there tonight and it really looks spectacular. Yeah, it's really well done. So congratulations to you and your team. Yeah, huge improvement. Even that hardscape that people were concerned, well, there's no plants. It's all hardscape. That pork chop area, I saw landscaping there. It looks beautiful. Really well done.
landscaping, right? I mean,
Yeah, low.
ability that we
Right.
have concerns with at other areas.
Yeah, that really turned out well.
New design.
Yeah, really good job.
Is that a new transportation term? Pork chop?
Pork chop.
Is
It's in the, it's
Is
Read the man, pork chop out. Right? Any public comment on the engineer's report? Nope. Okay, thank you for being here. Oh, did you want to say something? Go ahead. Yeah.
So I have a camera that actually faces the crosswalk at Cypress and Barriolet.
Okay.
And I can honestly tell you that 70 to 75% of the cars that are coming down Barriolet don't even stop. They either come right through that stop sign or they slowly just keep coming down and then turning on Cypress or straight down. I am happy to share that video with you guys. I'm happy to show you the camera. I am happy to show you, but it is very dangerous.
Okay.
And it just needs, I don't even care if it's just lines. It just needs to be more pronounced like we did on Occidental.
Yeah.
Those strips, people are not paying attention. The cars are not paying attention at all.
And when the El Camino project goes through, they have traffic being diverted over there as
Yeah,
well.
Cypress
Yeah.
and Barriolet are really bad. And
Yeah.
I live on the corner of Cypress and Barriolet. So it'll be interesting because right now, if anybody parks in front of my house and I'm trying to get out of my driveway, I can't see if a car's barreling around the corner.
Yeah.
So it's pretty dangerous. So I'm just saying, I have ample footage for anybody for weeks on end.
Got it. Okay. Appreciate that feedback. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Thanks for being with us. Okay, good night. Okay. I'm going to close 7C and we'll move on to 7D. Sergeant Orloff, I hope you get paid by the hour. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah,
Police reports.
great job on that end. I actually haven't been there. Showing the photos, pretty cool. I'll, with your guys' permission, certainly if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll only highlight a couple of the collisions that are listed there. But for the month of October, there were 11 total collisions to report. As always, hit and run collisions or collisions caused by DUI were filtered out and don't appear. For the month of October, 10 collisions were with another motor vehicle, a vehicle with another motor vehicle, and one of the collisions was with a pedestrian. Out of all these collisions, 15 resulted in, or there were 15 reported minor injuries and 2 unfortunate major injuries. As always, the most common collision factors were right-of-way violation, unsafe turning movements, and unsafe speed. There were 4 failure to yields, 2 unsafe turning movements or lane changes, and 2 unsafe speeds or following too closely. Highlighting the major injury collision, which is listed as 250-2473. This occurred up on Skyline, just south of Alberta Glen. This was about 8:16 in the morning. This was a vehicle versus a vehicle head-on collision. A driver, D1, was driving their vehicle. This would be northbound on Skyline, approximately 35 miles an hour. When they crossed over the double yellow line into the southbound lane where the other party was driving with her juvenile passenger and colliding head on. The driver who crossed over the line suffered minor injuries. However, the driver and her passenger suffered major injuries. Luckily not fatal, but major. One of the factors reported as to why that driver drove over the divided highway was a distraction by an insect or something in the car. And it was right at the section where Skyline kind of dips down and turns to the right a bit. So just tragic timing to be distracted at that location. So that the vehicle versus pedestrian. That's ending in 2593. This occurred on Broadway and Laguna at about 3:35 in the afternoon. This was a failure to yield to a pedestrian in a crosswalk. Driver one was driving vehicle one south on Laguna, stopped at the intersection with Broadway, attempting to make a left turn on eastbound Broadway. A pedestrian was walking north in the southeast crosswalk of Broadway at Laguna. The driver conducted her left turn, did not see pedestrian walk crosswalk as she was paying attention to dense traffic at the time, west and east on Broadway, and to see the pedestrian. Luckily, hit her at a very slow speed and only caused a minor injury, which was a complaint of pain to the pedestrian. Two kind of, I hesitant to use the term highlights, but considering the pedestrian involved in the major injuries, anybody have any questions about any locations or collisions?
I have a question about Burlingame Avenue, 2525.
2525. 1500. Well, that was a non. Difficulty finding it. Is seeing it in my notes, Chair Marto.
Okay.
I can certainly follow up with you if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that was at an intersection or if that was right on the Ave and what the 7:18 at night, 21st, I don't know what day of the week that was. Let's see. October 21st. That was a Tuesday.
Yes.
Okay.
I found it. Completely. A driver was driving their vehicle south on El Camino. Another driver was driving north on El Camino as the driver who was traveling north on El Camino attempted to make a left turn from El Camino onto Burlingame Avenue. They collided with the other party in the intersection. So this was your El Camino failure to yield left turn.
Okay. Okay.
And no injuries, which is fortunate because
Yep.
failure to yield on El Camino result in injury.
Okay. Good. All right.
I had a quick one.
Yeah.
And the minutes were closed, but the accident on my street that happened on Labor Day weekend did not show up in last month's report. And so did I hear you say you eliminate DUI accidents from what you report here?
Usually,
So does that mean that that was a,
not necessarily.
I just was wondering why it's missing, because as you know, I'm looking at that data.
Right, right.
There are so many.
A non-injury collision happens between parties who communicate with one another and decide to exchange information and don't call us, or they call us and just request for facilitation of said names exchange, then there won't necessarily be a report generated.
I know they transported him because I was onto the, because I'd had visitors with the car hit.
It did
talk off.
Did report on that one.
It wasn't on, because I checked it and it didn't show up on this
If it's the one
for last month.
it was the individual who was attempting to turn left, coming from San Mateo, I believe, and tried to turn left and then averted an accident and then.
No, he was mid-block on my block and it was an overturned car. There were two overturned. It was the DUI checkpoint night, Labor Day weekend. It didn't show up because I was waiting for it and I'm new to this, right? So I didn't know if maybe it's eliminated for a certain reason.
Okay. Well, it may very well could have been, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Talk offline, maybe. Okay, no, it's fine.
If
No, it's fine.
you're curious about it and it didn't make its way in, then yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, any other questions about the police report? No? Okay. All right. Do you want to table
I will just
that till next time? Okay, you can be
Concise
very quick.
sentence.
Okay,
just
all right.
let everyone know that,
Or Commissioner Communications. Go.
okay. So this is about AMP, the Accelerated Mobility Playbook, and City Thread. They presented at the last council meeting to update everyone on, the project and where things were. It was a slightly different version of what was presented to us because they had more time to work on it. And I will get a copy of that presentation for you if you didn't listen in on the council meeting. It was very well received by all of the council. There was no decision made. It was more informational. And it was really just about how City Thread and AMP and where we take that as a project. Within the notion of, I think there's a lot of excitement coming out of now that Vision Zero is implemented, looking at a way to build more connective tissue and engagement with community longstanding, and how that can work to accelerate a lot of the projects that the city puts forward to address, issues across the town, whether that is whatever that project may be. The next step is, I think there's a meeting next week or the following for a huddle on, the question is how we implement it and how it gets funded. And so that really is the next step. And then from there, I think it will come back, right, Mr. Wong, to this commission as well as to council then to take it forward. But I think,
Check on that one.
yeah,
Yeah,
not,
on that far.
we haven't gotten that far. Thank you. Okay. So that's kind of where it stands.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Any other Commissioner Communication? Yep. Commissioner Zerlit?
Late. This
That's
was a
okay.
really full agenda, Mr. Wong.
I heard complaints at the last meeting that it was a little light.
Uh-huh.
I
So
took it
that will-
apart.
Doubt it.
Yeah.
I
Missed special.
email to my personal email address, as well as I think we all got the teaspoon from Brett Teal, who lives on Alvarado.
Yeah.
With that was quite the disaster where traffic could not move either north or south on their street when Mercy was having a school dance. And so I know we need to look into what went wrong, especially because head of school did not respond. And that's supposed to be a touch person who's supposed to respond right away. We just need to look into see whether CUP, the restrictions were followed. It sounds like they were not. So I can understand the neighbors on that street were like, it was crazy. Somebody drove on somebody's front yard. They literally could not get out of their driveways. I don't know if you saw the video that was attached. Did you not receive this email?
I didn't see this email at all.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Mercy had a dance. They did not have a shuttle. They did not have traffic control. And there's a video the neighbor took where literally cars, you can't pass two ways when there's cars parked, and traffic was at a complete standstill. No one could move forward. No one could move back. It was night and people couldn't get out of their homes, and there were tempers from some of the, a Mercy parent, at least one, drove across somebody's front yard. No bueno.
Yeah.
So we worked together on the Mercy traffic calming subcommittee, and it might be that we have to sort of restart that so that we can study what went wrong and what needs to be done.
Yeah, we're working with there was a follow-up email from the head of school, so we've got some
Okay,
conflicting
good.
information, but we've offered to talk to see what we can do or what went wrong. We're already on that. The vice mayor forwarded that to us, and
Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, anything else? Committee reports, subcommittee reports, Hillside. Wrapping up?
Oh, Hillside, I did have one question, and it's just an observation, and this was not part of the original project. But I didn't really realize that Hillside in the hills speed limit is 25. And south of whatever is 25. And then there's the section that is not unincorporated that goes from whatever Alvarado down to wherever, Vancouver, that's 35. And I know that we were unable to lower the speed limit based on just, what is it called?
The 85th,
Warrant,
yeah.
whatever. But now that there's that new, the new law where things can be changed without necessarily fulfilling those requirements, it doesn't make sense to me that in a residential section, it should go up to 35 and then drop back down. So before we disband this, could we look at maybe
Yeah.
And through
I
the
think-
chair,
specific task?
Yeah.
as Mr. Sy pointed out, is one of the things that's what Vision Zero is going to try. We have some data for the speech areas, and we're looking at trying to reduce everything based on Vision Zero, where we're going to utilize that. So that's why things have been kind of held up. We've been waiting for that, not to get into too much.
I think it makes a lot of sense because, especially with that new crosswalk going in, there's no way somebody going 35 miles an hour is going to be able to come to a halt
Right.
when those beacons
Right.
go off.
Right,
So,
right.
So if we could not disband it.
Nope, nope, not yet,
idea.
not yet. Okay. And ECR should be starting up.
Yeah. interesting.
Oh, we need to
About our
figure out what the objectives
I would keep
are.
that committee.
Yeah, we'll figure out what the objectives are. I mean, just be reporting back. You said you have a meeting on Friday?
Oh, it was the same meeting tomorrow at noon. It's
Okay.
supposed to be the same meeting. I might listen to it because
Oh, okay, okay.
listening to Charlie Brown's teacher. So at this point, but I mean, the information is important, and I just, it was frustrating that I couldn't hear very clearly. Some takeaway points, communication with the schools is huge. And then before the meeting started this evening, I did corner Mr. Wong, who was stuck in this room with just me and Mr. Ting about we've been talking for quite some time about California and Broadway. We are now directing traffic for 4 years off of El Camino, and a lot of it's going to go on California. And we had talked about removing 5 parking spots, so we have an extra landing lane at the red light so that more cars can get through each light and we don't get these backups.
Oh, yeah.
North
No.
California. And to me, this is the time
Yes.
to implement that
Yeah.
ASAP.
1,000%.
Right, with this project started.
1,000%.
Yep,
That's it for that.
okay. Vision Zero, I don't have their list yet of projects. Prioritize, we should get that soon, I think. That was in the plan.
Yeah, just laughing at.
I'm looking at you and you're not looking back at me, Mr. Holt. Coming soon?
We'll be bringing that back to you.
Yeah,
But that-
I know we talked about forming a committee here with a couple members on this commission, and so we'll get back to that next month. And we just need to firm up, what are we going to do? Is it a ad hoc committee? Is it a standing committee? And so we'll have to firm that up, and what are the objectives of that committee? Okay, anything else? All right, good. Mr. Wong, next month, I know we have,
Sorry, that's why I'm just laughing.
Yep.
Jumped ahead, like, oh, yeah, we'll try to keep it down, but we do have a full docket of things that we can.
I think my dog probably wet her crate.
Yeah, and I miss Special Forces, so I know we're all, oh, God. You watch that?
No.
I love that show.
Yeah.
Have things.
All right. What's on the agenda? I know we have to elect,
'Cause I got to talk.
we have to elect a new chair and vice chair next month.
Yeah.
Know that,
We'll-
yeah,
We'll keep it lighter, but
Yeah.
we should have a couple items on them.
okay.
But
Trust you.
Yeah.
Have you gone through your interview?
Not yet. My application is due tomorrow.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that what you were supposed to be doing?
It's halfway done. Yeah. I have to
Do
go
you
home.
need a
Yeah.
referral?
It was Special Forces and then finish the application.
Make sure you don't have any grammar.
What are you applying for?
The stress.
This position again.
Yes, to.
My term's up. Yeah. Okay, so you have a number of things on,
We'll talk about it.
all right, all right.
Maybe not.
Well, yeah. All right, anything else? Thank you, everyone. Long meeting. Thanks for all your patience. Meeting adjourned.
Nice work.
No team I'd rather hang out with.